Thank you for the... Welcome to the Comics Aficionados, live right here on Thinking Critical YouTube. And things have gotten hot and heavy before we even went live. And we're not going to ignore it, people. We're going to get into it. But we do need to announce the panel. We have special here. Sil Abdul, I thought this was mostly going to be a movie thing because it felt like the movie stuff was dominating the conversation earlier in the week. And then all of a sudden, a bunch of comic news came out. But you're also a comic head, so that's good news.
For sure. A good mix. You know, obviously you start as a comic book fan first, and then, you know, I get a little information about different movies and piss off James Gunn and his loyal fans. So that's what it's all about.
So how's everything going on the channel? You still growing?
No, definitely. We did take a little break recently, just some personal things. But as far as anytime DC, I'm a DC comics based kind of first. Though I do some Marvel stuff here and there, right? But with Aquaman about to come out, that's getting DC in the conversation again in the zeitgeist. So definitely getting more content out for that.
Yeah, I'm more of a DC guy as well. I think people will probably notice on the channel that I have more of an affinity for DC comic characters and heroes in like the universe.
Oh,
it's kind of the way it is. Everybody's got the thing that they like the most, right?
Well, you got to have balance. You got Doc on the Marvel side, you got you on the DC side.
Exactly. Well, if you want to say Doc and balance in the same sentence.
And apparently I owe you an apology. You were out last week because you were not feeling well. And you took the Transformers thing where I said you were being a coward because you didn't want to talk about Transformers and how good it was. I apologize, you. I was not meaning that to be like a direct dig at you. But you, sir, are mad as hell and you're not going to take it anymore. Let's hear about it.
I have customers that watch the show. And I don't want them to think I'm a fucking pussy. You know what I mean? I'm not a fucking pussy.
That's good
motivation. I'll stand up and tell you you're full of shit. How's that? You come on in the store and I'll let you fucking know for sure. But Transformers mid at best.
Man, I thought it was great. I love that cartoon. I thought the comic book was perfect. Pitch perfect.
The cartoon's lame. The toys are lame.
Oh my goodness! Someone blocked me.
Oh wait, well, I'm sorry. Toys are lame. How you like that?
What kind of show is this?
And not only that, variant cover schemes are lame. And let's call it like it is.
I take that personally. That variant cover.
Calling variant cover schemes lame for a long time.
Yeah, that's right. And one of the main offenders this year was the Transformers #1 comic. And when everybody's crowing about sales, and when all the websites are out there talking about second prints that are coming out, go to your store and see how many are still on the shelf. This is nothing other than just Berserker in lower number format. Oh, and not crowdfunded, of course.
Oh, Berserker, shots fired. I love it.
You know what?
I mean, I really enjoy the
Transformers compared to Berserker. Not returnable. That's the other thing. So when you're going to New York City Comic Con, you're buying a $60 book rather than going into your comic store to buy that Transformers book. Think about that when you don't see as many on the shelf in the future.
Well, let me ask you this, Yul. Is this not the fault ultimately of the retailer? Because you don't have to buy those books. You don't have to buy new books at all.
Most of those 27 covers are outside the sphere of the comic book store. We have a total of 5 and 3 incentive covers available to purchase.
And personally, I am going to take the retailer side on this because they are put in between a rock and a hard place between publishers offering it and big dollar customers that want it. And if they don't order it, they just watch the customer walk out the door to another store that will order it.
Potentially.
So I feel bad. Money. I feel bad for the retailers because they're stuck. They can't really operate on principle if principle might put them out of business. I mean, Yul, as a retailer, is that guy that does want the 1 in 100 or whatever the ratio variant is. That guy probably spends a shit ton of money in your store. If he goes somewhere else, maybe he makes that other store his new LCS, and now all of his weekly money has left your business and gone to somebody else.
Or to eBay.
That's true. And not having it is important, but thinking I'm a puss is worse.
I don't think you're a pussy. You've certainly never been a pushover, and you're certainly somebody that's always said what you thought, even if it was a disagreement with other people on the panel. You've never been this forceful, and I kind of like that you got a little piss and vinegar in you today.
I do too. I'm
Fuck
getting a little turned on over here.
It was a variant cover. Yeah.
All right. Well, now you've warmed me up, and I'm going to be nice the rest of the day.
You don't need to be nice.
No, I want spicy.
No,
Yule.
I
want a
want
little bit of that
spicy
vinegar.
Yule.
I
Come
don't
on,
have
I would
enough
not
in
blush
that in me.
Going, I would never say that. That was too far.
I'm thinking I might have to make a special visit to Berkeley. Oh, hey. Well,
I think the thing that we noticed here is that the real problem with comic books is still Abdul, because he's the one that likes all those stupid.
I go to the store. I say I want the 1 in 50 ratio cover. Like I do that every month. So it's like, yeah, I'm part of the
Did you
problem.
get that on Transformers?
Now I'm Transformers now.
Oh, jeez.
Well, if you want to win the 1 in 50, all you have to do is purchase Transformers #1 for me, and you have a shot at it. So just to let you know.
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay.
That's
good. Okay.
You know
now
what?
I'm the opposite. I walk into a store and I'm like, how many variant covers are there? And it's like, there's 100. And I'm like, I don't want any of them now. I don't even want the book anymore. Like I like it because collecting used to be that you had a shot at getting a collection, getting what you wanted, getting everything that you wanted. And now everybody's doing the same schemes, and they've overtaxed it to the point that I don't care anymore. I'm out. Like, I don't, your book has how many covers? You know what?
Yeah.
Screw you. I don't want it anymore. I don't want to be involved in this.
And
it's the same thing with toy collecting. Gentle Giant, hey, we're doing this whole line of 12-inch figures based on the original Kenner Star Wars figures, back when Star Wars was still hot, back before Disney killed it. And the very first thing they did was put out Boba Fett as a con exclusive. I was like, now I don't want the line. I don't want the entire line.
Right.
Shot yourself in the foot.
With variant covers, I have to like the story though. Like I don't just buy you got Zeb Webb's Amazing Spider-Man. Like, I'm not buying every variant cover of that run because I don't like the whole story, right? But if I like the story, then I will dip in a little bit.
I liked it when DC Comics were doing an A cover and a B cover. Your A cover was your main one, and then the B one was more of an artistic take. It might not have anything to do with the inside, but it was an opportunity for you to get a different cover with a different flavor and maybe an artist you like more. And I thought that was a good little system they had there. They just they kind of gave it up once Rebirth was over.
It kind of reminded me of like a cover version of when back in the 90s when Marvel did their regular and deluxe versions. Because didn't the variant have the cardstock cover too? It was and it was $1 more.
Mm-hmm.
It was very similar, except for back then, Marvel just made the inside pages nicer instead of the outside wrap. So
now you get the inside pages on the outside.
Yes. Now even the covers for modern Marvel aren't as good of paper as what was the interior pages of the deluxe editions in the 90s. Congratulations, comic industry. You're doing great.
All right, Yule. So there was a couple other things. You're mad. You're upset that you think there's too much negativity going on with comic book YouTube, correct?
Well, I think that Transformers was a success and it was a good book. But I think that there's, and it's not you, Wes. I mean, don't take it personally. It's
you were yelling at me personally. So
well, you're the only one here. You were the only one there. The cacophony of noise, and Doc was saying, well, the sites before Wes was a channel was doing all of this stuff. It was either them glad handing and giving good reviews to everybody all the time when it was unwarranted. It was ignoring the problems that one of the things I was just saying a second ago that we've all said before. All the other things has led to this situation, and the blowback that we get these days is, and I really, it's not about Wes. It's not about you, Wes. It's like I said, it's a cacophony of negativity. And anywhere I go, it's almost always that way. But the thing about Transformers is there was none of that. Daniel Warren Johnson doesn't really give you anything to be upset about. He's the only one working on the book, really. Transformers is a toy. Transformers is a movie. We can make fun of Michael Bay, all this other stuff. But overall, it's being lifted. It's being applauded.
Those are all positives that you just said.
Those are all positives. That's my point. Everything about Transformers, the comic book, has been positive.
That's not true. Your bad boys that crapped all over it.
I didn't give it a glowing review. I was very mid on it.
I didn't read it.
I meant prior to the book coming out.
No one's surprised about that.
There's no negativity about it. No negativity surrounding it. Everybody was excited.
Yeah, I think we still need to have hope, and I think that's what I think people gave Daniel Warren Johnson the benefit of the doubt, and so there was hope for it. And now, once it's come out, we can examine whether or not that was warranted. But, it was nice.
Well, if we talked about Jason Aaron going on Superman in a little while, or Action in a little while, we'll see about our hope then, right?
Oh wow.
There you go. Why not? Right at the beginning, go, you know what? He's done good stuff. You know what? I like Superman. You know what? DC sometimes does good stuff. This should be good. Let's go out there and get it, everybody.
When was the last
Instead,
time
we're going to negatively look at Jason Aaron and all the other bullshit he's done recently, and we're not going to give any of his other prior stuff. You know what I mean?
What's going on?
Sound like everyone was being quiet. Are we still talking?
Yeah, we're talking.
I think it's your internet, brother.
I had internet issues.
Oh no.
The only thing I was gonna say is I think the key word here is recently and benefit of the doubt. I think there's two things.
Yeah.
And this is just saying, so, like when I launched PBC and I was having conversations with people before I launched it, one of the things that I talked about was I don't want the negativity. And I even told people, like, before you come on, there are certain things I don't want to hear you say. It's my channel, no offense, don't fucking say it. But at the same time, there's times where we have to be honest. And as someone who covered and studied DC in depth for at least 10 years, there was a point where I stopped being able to fully give it the benefit of the doubt. And it was just harder to give it the benefit of the doubt because either the creative teams weren't allowed to do what they needed to do. The editors weren't really coming through. There wasn't a plan. They were changing the plan. They backed up. Like, so many things happened that it's understandable for people to lose benefit of the doubt and kind of have a cautious or negative outlook. Now, what I will say is there are a lot of channels out there. There are a lot of sites out there that have discovered it's trendy to be negative. And that's something I don't agree with. I oppose that by all means. And that's where I come in and welcome people. Like, if you don't like something, it's fine. If you want to shit talk something, it's fine. But if you're going to do it, you better explain why. Why do you not like it? Why did it not sit well with you? If you liked it, explain why. And then I'm okay with it. But I will agree. There's plenty of sites out there that are just negative for the sake of being negative because it gets clickbaits and let me get this little clip out there and ooh la la la, a ton of likes, a ton of shares.
But I mean, recency bias, that's a real thing though. I mean, I know Yul was saying why is everybody so hyped for Daniel Warren Johnson? Because he did do a power bomb, right? Everyone's excited about that. So now he's doing Transformers. Obviously, that's what made me excited about it, right? But like I mentioned, Zeb Wells or Dan Slott, if some of the stuff I didn't like they did recently didn't excite me, I'm not excited for the new Superior Spider-Man because I'm not a big fan of Dan Slott, right? So I just go off of that. Overall, though, yeah, obviously there's some negative, people purposely trying to be negative, then there's people that's honest.
Well, in the case of Jason
when they
announced,
Aaron, when they announced the new creative teams for Spider-Man being Zeb Wells, I was like, he was great on Hellions. I'm actually really excited about this. We got to the first story. I was like, I don't like the opener, but I like the Tombstone arc. And then it kind of went off the rails. Same thing with Batman. Chip Zdarsky and Jorge Jimenez. I was like, I couldn't be more excited about this.
Agreed.
Fail Safe was great. I was singing the praises, and I was like, what the hell happened?
Yeah, I was the same way with ASM. Optimistic.
No, you're right. You guys liked Hellions. That's true.
We liked Hellions. And you know what? I actually pointed out that Zeb Wells had written Spider-Man in the past, back during the 3 times a month rotating creative team, the one that Dan Slott takes full credit for, because he was one of 12 different writers that was on ASM at the time. And he counts that in his, I wrote Spider-Man for 10 years or 15 years or whatever it is. He claims credit for every one of those issues. So fuck you, Dan Slott. We know your trick. But no, I mean, I was really optimistic, and then it just completely fell off the rails. And Zeb Wells showed that, because I looked at it as, hey, he was kind of a middling writer. Maybe he's finally started finding his groove when he got the Hellions. And then he went back to being the middling writer he always has been. And now, granted, I've never been a Jason Aaron fan. I've always kind of seen through what he does. And I realized he's a bit of a one-note writer. All he does is come in, start with a cool concept, and then fundamentally alter the foundation of a character to the point where they cannot be the character they were before when he is done. And now, I saw it happen on X-Men. I saw it happen he did it on Thor. Whether it turned out well is a completely different question. But the formula remains the same. He just finished doing it on Punisher. And because of that, because we have seen people monkey around with the foundations of who Superman is in the past, and it's never really worked. They always kind of have to go back to the basics on it. Jason Aaron, that's the only tool in his toolbox. So is he going to do it, and how is he going to do it, and how bad is it going to screw up? None of the characters he's done this to in the past can ever go back to the way they were before him. So you're I wouldn't say killing, but this is you're about to go through a one-way turnstile that you can't walk back through if things don't go well. Every other time they've done this and monkeyed with Superman, there's been a way to walk it back. There's no way to walk what Jason Aaron does the characters back without just basically going full on, Bobby Ewing walking out of a shower. It was a dream thing.
And how many times do we have to do that with characters? Not only from Jason Aaron but other people. And as someone who hasn't enjoyed Jason Aaron since maybe like Original Sin or the Gore the God Butcher storyline, I don't have any reason to be excited. I have every reason to be trepidatious and to think that, here's another blow to the legacy of Superman. Here's another thing that's going to drag Superman down in everybody's estimation and leave him in less of a good place than he was before. Jason Aaron comes in now, and his MO is to break all the toys, and then someone has to come in and try to put them all together, but they're never quite the same.
Yeah, I'm just more upset about PKJ leaving. But I guess 3 years is a nice, pretty decent long run. He got to do his World Saga, and he said he's going to do more Superman before, but called it like the Superman Superstars Initiative doesn't make any sense. It's like,
the Bloom is way
gotta sell that number one, So
well, it's not going to be a number one. It's going to be 1061, I think. You can't really put Action Comics back.
But it'll have 27.
Not going to buy it.
So,
But I guess my point on this is that a lot of us do have we still have hope, regardless of how many times we've been punched in the mouth by the publishers. We still have hope. Now, some of us, me for instance, are far more jaded than others. There's a reason why Josh doesn't invite me on his show.
That's what you was talking about. Okay,
yeah, that's exactly what Josh was talking about. He's like, nah,
talking about
that. So, yeah, I mean, I want to have hope, and I think a lot of us do, and sometimes, but then we look at things that the industry do that are just silly and stupid, and it becomes harder and harder for us to hold out hope, and sometimes we have the tendency of falling down that, well, like, DC just released that the Nightwing 100 variant cover, and it's literally just a meme from 5 years ago. And my only thought is, you know what? You're riding yourself all the way the track, like straight to insolvency. You have no plan to course correct, so fuck it. Just make jokes on the way down.
You remember when selfies were a thing? And those were long past, and there was like everybody was doing like selfie covers. Every hero was like, "Hey," every cover was infuriating. Then this is the era of the meme cover. DC is just going to think that this is delightful, and I'm sure we're going to see more.
But I feel where you're coming from, Yule, because I'm also very frustrated. But as a store owner, your frustration probably feels a little bit different than mine.
I feel like I'm on an island a lot.
Cover on a daily basis.
Yeah, you've got more skin. You've got more skin in the game. We can all walk away You know, we could get to the
True.
point where, you know, we no longer have any hope and we're just like, this is dead and I'm walking away. You know, we have less skin than you do as a retailer. You know, you have to put up with this nonsense.
It's not even as much as that. It's just that, like, comic books, like in my life, have been an important thing. And, you know, everybody has their own different varying degrees of how important it is for them. But I mean, I really believe it is an art form. I believe that it is a way to tell a story that there isn't other ways to tell that story. And like in comic books, that's it. And, you know, there's a lot to get from the past and even the present for a lot of different people that haven't ever experienced it. And it, you know, it just that's my negativity coming out. And I'm done with that.
Well, we can tell from your hat, Yule, that you want to be the very best, like no one ever was.
I do want to. Well, that's why I'm not wearing a Dodger hat today. Now you know why I'm really upset.
All right, fellas. So we're not going to do an intro for Aaron, Doc, or Josh. You guys know who these guys are, but we do have some people that want to talk to us. Callum says, I have a solution to Kevin Spineless Feige's Daredevil problem, so hear me out. Hire the goddamn Netflix team. Or is he addicted to failure? Absolutely. You should definitely go get Steven tonight and bring back the writers and just reboot the damn thing. The Netflix Daredevil is good. You have to admit that, Yule.
Yeah, the first season was really good, although I thought he fought with lower tiered villains or henchmen way too long. That's the only thing. It's Daredevil.
That hallway scene was so good, though. I know it's 10 minutes, but it's 10 minutes of badassery.
And there's a lot of
guys. If Kirk would have ever lasted that long in one of the comic books, I'd be surprised. That's all I'm saying.
Well, the real estate's different.
Different medium, yeah.
But yeah, they definitely should go back to the original team. And they already have all the actors except, I guess, Foggy. Lade says Karen. It's set.
And Karen, yeah.
Yeah. Lade says it's sad. Aaron, I just read Darkwing Duck 6, Drake Mallard being shown as a better father than Kal-El or Bruce Wayne right now, even if he is more vague.
I'm sorry you read Darkwing 6.
I don't know. He must not be talking about Joe Books.
Yeah. Unless he's talking about let's talk about our issue 6, which took place at a comic convention, and there is like a lot of fatherly stuff in that. That was one of the things that we really wanted to zero in on, because when I sat down with Tad, and Tad Stones like just basically explained how the show came together and what and the show didn't really work until Goslin was brought in, and so she was always the heart of the show. So that father-daughter relationship was always the heart of our book and what we tried to do. And you know, I took a little bit of abuse, as I occasionally do this week, because I said that if you want to go in and you want to change everything about a character, then you don't love that character. You love that character as a vehicle for, you know, your activism or for whatever it is that whatever your fixation is. And I got a couple of people coming back going like, well, you changed Quackerjack. And, and it's always like,
you fucked up like, Quackerjack?
And now it's like, it's people.
You nihilistic son of a bitch.
82 followers and a cartoon avatar, you know, they're all part of the same little cabal and they pop up every now and then. But the fact of the matter is, we really didn't. Quackerjack is still the same character, and he would have come full circle. We were just doing something a little different with him, based on what Tad's original notes were. Which originally, when Quackerjack was created, Tad intended him to be a darker character, more like the Joker. So, in honor of Tad, we decided to explore that a little bit in the comic book. And then when I was let go from Boom, and they took all my scripts and just kept reworking them with the writer that they wanted to credit, he actually turned Quackerjack into me. So and made Quackerjack like an insert of myself, so he could take shots at me. So when I came back on, you know, because I'm a toy guy, obviously, you know, even down to like casting his redheaded girlfriend, who I was dating a redhead at the time. So all of that was an attack on me. So it wasn't a self-insert. Just when I came back on the Definitively Dangerous edition, I changed the motivation of Quackerjack. I basically made Quackworks boom in that situation. So that's the only way that aside from liking toys, that's the only way that Quackerjack is like me. But anyway, that's a long. Goslin's always the heart of the show, and so that father-daughter relationship is important.
Calvin says, I hope Blade will not get made, because I heard they fired their 5th scriptwriter, so it looks like a sign. Man, Blade is so good, but Blade 2 is even better. Like, why even mess with perfection? Just leave him there.
I figured out why Jesse said it's a Batman book. It's basically Batman leading the Suicide Squad in Blade 2. That's
Yes.
basically kind of how like how it works out, and that's another reason that there's just like a really good layer there.
Yeah,
Kinda like-
but with Blade, I'm sorry, Mahershala Ali and his team, they're gonna make sure that film gets made though, whether good or bad. The Blade film.
Yeah, I think
Well, it seems
that's
like
the
he wants it
problem.
to be good. Seems like he keeps objecting to what they're giving him. So
Yep.
But I feel like eventually he is going to realize the clock's ticking, age wise for him. I mean, he's not exactly a young guy to begin with.
No.
He's got to be pushing 50 already because
I would guess that.
he was in his 20s or mid 20s back 20 years ago when he really started getting big when he was on the 4400.
Yeah, he's 49.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he got to realize the clock's ticking on him. Eventually, he may just accept something that's not as good as he wants it to be, just so he can get it done. And that,
Wesley Snipes back.
how limber is Wesley?
That's literally all they got to do.
Snipes is probably still pretty limber, right? You bring him back, you just do a little bit of digital DH.
Edge him up a little bit. He'll look.
He was good in Expendables, right? Well, Expendables 3. Yeah, he still move.
Take a little bit of lines out of his face digitally, and you're good to go, man.
Just AI. Just do AI.
Aaron, Lade says, Aaron, are you in for the Cobra Commander carrier?
No, I'm actually out. It's not enough there for me to.
You're drawing a line in the sand?
Yeah, I'm not dropping that kind of cash on what it is. First of all, reaction figures are not my thing. They're already too expensive for what they are. Little 5 points of articulation figures, and the retail price on them is $18. Not gonna do it. It's like for $25, you get something like this with more articulation and a lot more accessories. So having a command center for those figures, it's a no from me. That thing works out to like $800 once you ship it. It's insane. It's not enough of a value. I could 3D print that for a lot cheaper and just make it myself.
Very nice. Calb says Friday Night Tights and Geeks and Gamers get into negativity right away, and congrats to them for making it on Canadian news for that stupid Robin the Hood series.
Are we reviewing that, Wes? Is that our next project?
No, we're not.
Come on,
we just did Ahsoka. I'm not doing that.
Let's do it. Let's get into a slap fight with Director X.
So they were on. I guess they were on the Canadian news for talking about Robin and the Hood. Hood?
He got the Canadian news to cover him and talk about all the racist haters that are just hating on his show because they're all racists and blah blah blah, and not because his show is just a big steaming.
I watched Critical Drinkers review.
Critical Drinkers was great.
It was pretty funny.
It was funny. I was watching it, and the maintenance guy came over to finish the 6-month saga of replacing my front door. And so I'm sitting there and I'm watching it while he's working. All of a sudden he goes, "Are you watching the Critical Drinker?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Oh, I love that channel." And I was like, "You know what channel you should love? It's Thinking Critical." Pop my culture. Maxfield Von Priestley. All the channels I'm coincidentally on.
And Fantastic Comics.
Yeah, there you go.
What were you saying?
I was saying, so they got in trouble for, they were used as an example, Friday Night Tights and Games and Geeks and Gamers.
For attacking
by Canadian
Director
News.
X.
Is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah.
It's a really good example of what I'm. They are. I mean, placing labels on them as like what they are is, I don't think is something I want to do, but I think Friday Night Tights and Geeks and Gamers is a really good example of what I'm talking about. They don't really do comics as much.
Nobody does comics anymore.
Well, it's tough. I mean, the thing is, though, is that there's not. Yeah, okay, who cares? Anyway, these guys, yeah, I agree. I feel like they're very negative, and that's a really good example of what I'm talking about. Like,
I think they come out. I mean, I think they come out when they've got something that they like. Like, they've all been pretty high on One Piece, most of them, and when you get something that's quality, I think that they're willing to talk about it. I think just there's two traps that you fall into. Number one is people click on negativity. Wes can do all the best comics of the week, and no one will ever click on it as much as they'll click on him going, "Can you believe this shit?" It's just people.
Well, this is face on the thumbnail.
Well.
Wait, Aaron, do another impersonation real quick, please.
Can you believe this shit?
Okay.
Really
or something chaps his ass. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. Something was chapping.
You got to use your hands a lot.
You know what's crazy?
Squint into the camera. You know,
when it comes to the videos, the ones that did the best in comparison to my my subscriber numbers were actually the overwhelmingly positive reviews of House of X Powers of 10, because everybody like in unison was super excited about X-Men at the same time.
Yeah, that was an interesting time too, because like people jumped in and loved it, and the people that were cautious were like, "Yeah, we'll see," and then it kind of kept going, and it was still pretty good, and then it became like, "Let me hold my breath for a moment." But yeah, I think a lot of people that was almost a perfect time in comics as far as that book is concerned. Like that's the hype you want to hopefully get around a book again.
People were coming back into the comic book store. They were excited, like they were like, "Give me everything, give me multiple variant covers." Like people were psyched, and it
probably helped out Absolute Carnage at the time that was going on.
No, unfortunately, it didn't help out Absolute Carnage. Absolute Carnage was for at least the shops that I was dealing with was a total disaster. It just we thought it would do half as well as House of X for us, and it did not. I think that it was just too red, like you open that book and it was just red and black all throughout, and I don't think that it excited people who were just coming in and like perusing it. The hardcore that were already into the Venom series were all in, but it didn't move the needle as far as bringing in new people for us.
Tiara Starbrighter says that Mags Visaggio would see the universal struggle to find one's place in the world as proof that Superboy is obviously trans, shows Mags' mental illness. I don't know if Mags has mental illness, but
when you're a Hammer, all you see is nails. So
yeah, yes. The idea that not being content or happy with your place in life means that you're obviously trans is a pretty foolhardy thing. I think everybody's been in a place where they were unhappy. Josh, you were recently in a place where you were unhappy and you knew that you needed to make a change in your life.
Oh yeah.
Start tucking and wearing girls' clothes.
No, I was really unhappy with my job, and it was affecting my personal life. It was affecting my mood. It was affecting my relationships, and I was like, you know what? I can either bitch about it or try to do something about it. It took 6 months to find a job that would.
Yeah, we were talking about it all the time.
Yeah, so. But spot on. This happens to everyone. It doesn't mean that you're trans. It means you're human.
All right. Is this Mags person? Are they trans?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So weird
personal insert.
And weirdly obsessed with trying to make everything and everyone, especially she was that one that was obsessed with claiming Kurt Cobain was trans. Do you remember that from a couple of months ago? That's who Mags is. Everything, everyone, somehow deep down inside them is trans. That's Mag's thing.
Well, the more when you have that level of unhappiness with yourself, when you have that insecurity, if you don't mind, again, some dime store psychoanalysis, when you have that, then the way to validate yourself is to make other people like you. Well, obviously everybody's like me. Obviously I'm normal. This is normal. This is Kurt Cobain was this way, so therefore I'm validated.
It used to be like everybody's a little gay,
Yeah,
everybody's a little gay.
Yeah.
I
mean, I am for Josh.
Hold up. Comic Set says this is for Kenneth Dowling. We're going to get to that subject, I promise. Spider-Man with the Sins of Norman versus Flash, Barry Allen with the negative Speed Force, fight to the death. This feels like a Yule Carter special. You are the biggest Spider-Man fan I know. Do you think he would actually stand a chance against Barry Allen with the negative Speed Force?
Would remind me of the negative Speed Force, what that meant.
It's the Speed Force, but it's just dissatisfied with everything that's going on.
I would suggest that anybody that can move the speed of sound probably kicks most people's asses.
Absolutely. Flash would obliterate anybody if he ran past him just because of his own mass.
The problem with the Flash is that, like, how does anybody ever pose a threat to him? Like those normal humans with like a gun, You
gotta be.
That was my problem with the TV
slow it down.
show. Is Captain Cold and Heatwave show up and they're standing there shooting things with their gun, and Flash always has to run up and stop and be like, "All right, you guys, knock it off," so that they can like try and do something against him. But I'm like, if you didn't announce your arrival, if you just like ran through them, and knocked them the hell out, this would be over. And that's the problem with writing speedsters, is that you have to come up with ways to de-power them in order for the story to work. And
so we got the Spider-Man with the Sins of Norman Osborn. And a lot of people, I think you included, you were excited about it. It concluded this week. I went in and checked it out. I wasn't all that impressed by the ending.
I like the ending. It led to, well, the art was the star for sure. I thought it was a good book. It was a nice little ending, but what it did mostly was set up gang war and Norman possibly being Green Goblin in the future.
Certainly.
The two issues prior, as like Spider-Man was going into his descent into Norman's like psyche and stuff like that, were pretty shocking and pretty fun to read, but they had to wrap it up in a third issue. So I can see where you're coming from that. I think it was overall good. But yeah, probably if I was going to say anyone was weaker than the other two, or of the three, it would probably be the end. Yeah.
When he was going into Norman's psyche, did he see Norman's memories of banging Gwen Stacy?
No, it wasn't his psyche.
Never happened.
It was all the sins that were stolen away from him in that storyline.
The Sin Eater.
Yeah, pushed into Peter's body.
I like the
they tried to
Craven
put it
stuff,
back
though.
into Norman and make him Green Goblin again, but Peter jumped in the way and took it.
Well, and that's another thing. They revitalized the Craven character.
Yeah,
so
I did like that
has,
part.
You know, a reason to be. Again, with the Norman, and then of course the gang war, which is actually anytime they just do like a 2-page thing or just allude to it, I'm kind of excited for it. I'm not excited
fingers
for
crossed on Gangs War.
I'm not excited for a company-wide crossover type.
I was excited until I realized it was 30 issues. I was like, why?
Well,
big.
Just buy the Spider-Man and anything you like, and then let that other stuff just sit. Is what I would recommend.
I mean, Gang War just feels like they're doing what was the
they
Daredevil
did Gang War
one?
during the 90s.
Well, no. What was the 90 or the Daredevil one that was right at the end of Chip Zdarsky's first run of Daredevil?
Devil's Reign.
Devil's Reign.
Yeah. I mean, it just kind of feels like they're treating it the same way that they did that.
When you condense the Marvel
fellas.
timeline down to just the block of years that it's supposed to exist in, you're like, man, how does anyone normal survive in this world?
Federico De La Costa says, "Last time I loved Superman is when he was with when he was a father. Well, technically he's still a father, but I do appreciate that rebirth era where you had young
John Kent. Yeah,
when John Kent was a character.
When he's looking out the window, and I think it's Patrick Gleason, and he's smiling and he's looking at his dad, and he's like, "My dad's Superman." Like one of the greatest pages of comic book
peak
history.
stuff.
Yeah,
I think PKJ does a lot of good stuff with the family dynamic. Obviously, with all the other kids too. But
enjoying action. It's actually the sales have gone up on that series too, as far as I can know, as far as I can tell. They were kind of returning it back to where it was. But I guess 3 years is a long run. That's all I can say. Lane says, "What was your favorite Keith Giffen story?" For positivity's sake, Yule.
Well, that's really. He's done a lot. I don't know if I can really say any one specific one, but there was, if I'm considering him co-writer, obviously on Justice League, there was that 2-part story where Guy Gardner's a really nice guy and he's fighting Lobo, and on the cover Lobo's attacking him, and then on the second issue it's Guy Gardner who has turned evil again or normal again. And then he's attacking Lobo in the same position as the other cover. Those are two really great issues.
I do like his Lobo stuff. Yeah, rest in peace, Keith Giffen. I like his Annihilation. I love the Cosmic Marvel when it's done right. Silver Surfer, big fan of Silver Surfer, and we had Nova, Galactus. So that's like the most. That stood out to me the most, and the Lobo stuff, DC stuff they did.
Did we just become best friends? I love that cosmic stuff. Like when the Marvel cosmic stuff is on point. Absolutely love
Feige was going to jack it for the movies, but they're pivoting. You know, there's a lot of stuff about Marvel right now. They're doing that multiverse stuff instead. But I wish they would have leaned to the cosmic stuff all the way. But they're not.
Shouldn't have fired James Gunn.
Yeah,
Phase 4 and 5 would have been in a lot better shape.
Agreed.
Josh, do you have a favorite you want to talk about?
Yeah, I was just going to mention for me, his Justice League run, which I know is the most common, but it holds significance for me because that was one of the first comic titles I remember reading. And the reason I remember reading it is my brothers were picking it up. And when I was flipping through it, I didn't fully understand it because of how young I was. I picked it up later, probably when I was like 13, 14, didn't appreciate it as much, and then reread it again, probably in my early to mid 20s. And found my love for it, because I think when I was like 14, 15, it's like, oh, everything's got to be dark and grim. So just the fact that I've had that journey with different stories in that title, for me, kind of hits home. But I love that he's not afraid to inflect humor in a certain way in his books.
Well, speaking of that, Federico De La Costa says, I miss Keith Giffen. He wrote for everybody, even Penthouse Comics, and they were good. He could do comedy comics, but not cheesy like the MCU humor. Man.
Yeah.
When I was
staying up in the Penthouse, you can stand up anywhere.
Yeah. When I I've been from the penthouse to the shit house. Life is like a yo-yo, but hopefully the string gets shorter. Diamond Dallas Page. One of my best memories of Keith is when I was at Tokyo Pop. We had the rights for Battle Royale, and which just phenomenal art and
much better version of the Hunger Games. Yes,
much. Well, that's where all these things were ripped off from. But yeah, just an absolutely much better, much darker. Just one of the most over the top books that you could ever read. And to do to basically punch up the translation, we hired Keith Giffen. And so Keith came in and he was just constantly delivering, he was just going for it every single time. This is just, for him, this is just a little, a lot of writers would come in just, I'm just doing this manga, whatever, and they would just kind of phone it in. But Keith was swinging for the fences every single time. And it was just such a cool time to be able to, occasionally communicate with him and have a little back and forth about what he was doing, because I was doing all the copy editing on a lot of those issues. That was like a magical time for me, because he had been a guy that I had looked up to for so long, and every now and then at Tokyo Pop you'd have something like that, you'd be working with a Keith Giffen, or Carl Potts would come in to consult for a month, and so you'd get to go out with Carl and hear all these stories. So what a tremendous loss the comic industry suffered this week.
I really liked his Midnighter series.
Oh yeah. Shoot, I forgot he did that.
Yeah, he did that during the World Storm event. And then he is the one that actually finished Grant Morrison's Authority run when Grant became a bitch and quit because I didn't like the reviews. Fuck you, you Scottish pussy. Go be a wizard or some shit. Get the fuck out of here.
You know what? I knew this is going to come up.
I'll say this.
We veered off of positivity.
I'll say this. I'll bring it back around to positivity. I'll say this for Mags. She's never quit a book because the reviews were bad. So, what are you doing, Grant Morrison? Stick it out.
Kenneth says, hello, hope everyone is well. I'm excited to be joining the Thinking Critical, or what I call Hate on Spider-Man show. Kidding.
Zed well sucks.
It's pretty... I think calling it mid is an overstatement. I just haven't enjoyed it very much. But the Nick Spencer run was really cool. It was. Spider-Man Life Story was cool up until about the 5th issue. There's been some good Spidey stuff.
Yeah, you know what? And you know what? The Nick Spencer Spider-Man, I literally dropped Spider-Man for the first time. My LCS kept giving it to me. Literally just gave me the first 4 issues. They're like, read it. You'll like it. And they just kept throwing it in my, and not charging me for it. And they're like, you're gonna like it. Finally, around issue 4 or 5, I actually read the first 4 issues that they had given me. And I'm like, fuck, I like it. God damn it.
Back in the early 90s, that's how I got some of our customers into Milestone. It was funny. I had a lot of resistance from our black customers, because they felt like it was pandering, and they were coming in and they were getting their X-Men, they were getting their, and they're like, no, a whole black superhero universe, it just feels like they're, and I was like, it's actually good. The creators are good. That, I understand where you're coming from, but it's not that. And so I was just sticking it in their pull boxes and giving it to them for free until they got hooked on it. They were like, all right, you were good. I'll pay for it now. I was like, damn right you will.
Although this week I opened Superior Spider-Man Returns, and I like Superior Spider-Man. I think that's probably the best thing that Dan Slott's ever done. And when I got to the first page, I was like, in my mind, I can't get over, why does this exist? The story's already been completed, and I didn't even read it. But
flashback, just spoiler alert. Yeah, flashbacks.
It's just flashbacks. Oh.
At least that first little issue thing was that the return of Superior Spider-Man #1. Then there's going to be a #1 Superior Spider-Man.
They got two #1s out of it.
Yeah, double dip. Got a double dip.
Was
Spider-Man could be in a better place?
Return of Superior Spider-Man, is that where they got what the hell's the fucking artist? Who's the artist on it? No, who's the artist on Return of Superior Spider-Man? Stegman.
He's on that too, yeah.
Yeah, but I think he's was he only on Return of, and then the actual series is a completely different artist again? Because they don't want to pay him a monthly. Because they don't want to pay him a monthly anymore.
Giuseppe Cavicoli, Umberto Ramos. You saying Stegman's in there too?
Yeah,
I thought that he was, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Again, not reading.
The art is good though.
Because new comics.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Caleb says, and Loki is a pile of lots of talking pie. BS. I haven't watched Loki.
The show. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't really enjoy the first season. So
I said this in
myself through.
I said this in our group chat. I hated Loki season 1. I thought the first episode of season 2 was actually probably one of the best things one of the best things Disney Plus has ever put out. Season 2, there's a little too much talk, or the second episode, a little too much talking. But what I'm happy about is we have a plot that makes sense. Loki is the focus, and we're getting to see Loki be Loki. Like this second episode, like there was a good 15-20 minute stretch of it's Loki on Earth, and he is being a badass, just like hunting this guy down. And I liked that kind of like. I like seeing that again.
But didn't they just boil his motivations for Avengers down to I was having a temper tantrum because Daddy doesn't love me?
Well, and I was being influenced, but I was being influenced by the Tesseract. It wasn't my fault. That it was like a parallax situation where it wasn't really me. It was like a Daredevil Shadowland situation where it wasn't really me. Where they kind of like absolved him of everything. And I think that took the bite out of the character for me.
Agreed.
So if they restore that in season 2, then maybe I'll go back and watch it. But I'm not going to bother investing in it. I'm not investing in anything MCU until I actually
give it a few episodes.
And that's fair. That's completely fair. I will say the one thing that I'm seeing, his motivation, at least so far in season 2, is self-survival. And he's kind of already toying with I will survive however I have to survive. And
Comics Odyssey says nothing beats Trencher by Keith Giffen.
That was a book that people did not get when it came out.
No,
they didn't understand the art. They did not get it.
That cover is different.
Mm-hmm. You have to really look at it. People were like, "What?" Because there wasn't like a lot. It was just so much detail.
I feel like I need shrooms to get into it.
Dude, on shrooms, it'd probably be an amazing cover. You'd probably be like, "This book is the greatest thing, man."
You can tell us. Was it good on shrooms?
I did not do that.
Oh.
I think I would get lost in this.
I
might never come back.
I'm right there with you. You know what?
So you're in the mental hospital with some padded rooms, watching comic books on the wall. They're like, "What happened to him?"
I'll give you my report on it next week. How's that?
Comic.VHS. What superhero has the best rogues gallery? Easy. Batman.
Batman. Yeah, I'll fight anyone on that.
Followed by Spider-Man.
Batman.
Yeah, Spider-Man's up there.
Darkwing Duck.
Flash. I like Flash. Flash rogues gallery.
Flash is number 3 to me.
No, because you know what? Darkwing has the amalgamation of like.
Well, he has all the
Batman
rogues.
Yeah, all the Batman and Spider-Man villains basically are part of his rogues gallery. So.
Batman's rogues are great because you literally can do comic runs off of the villains. Like you literally can watch their stories. Like they're the best villains. Yeah.
Did they ever? Now, see, this is me, ignorant on Darkwing, and I vaguely remember watching the cartoon when I was a kid. Did they ever come up with Professor Quacktopus?
No, but you know what? If I was on the book, I would take notes from you, Doc.
All right.
All right. Caleb says, do you think Zeb Wells has chosen a lazy way to get a reputation because hate is easier than positivity?
That's averting expectations. That's his problem.
He really thinks that what he's doing is good, and sometimes that happens as a writer. You have an idea and you think that you're going in, and it just depends on how you go into it. If you go into it thinking like I'm going to shake up the status quo, everything you knew is wrong, like that kind of stuff, I really am gonna like try to like piss the fans off to get some buzz. If you go in that way, you still think you're probably doing a good job. I don't think he thinks he's phoning it in or he's doing bad work. I think that but I think
If
he
he
is
phoned it in,
writing
it's a twice monthly book. He's probably working all the time.
I feel like this is the same Zeb Wells that thought that turning the New Warriors into a reality show team was a great idea.
Even though we'd seen that concept executed before, and
no, he did. He's the one that did it.
Yeah, no, but I mean, we'd seen that before. We'd seen like Youngblood. We'd seen kind of like the of superhero celebrities, and I don't think that anybody's ever really pulled it off. I don't even think that within Merc we've pulled it off.
No. There's one that did pull it off, and that was Mark Millar on the Authority.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Kelly Thompson on West Coast Avengers.
No. Mark Miller on the Authority. They were celebrity superheroes.
Let's go. Ideator says it's been decades, but I finally had the experience of anxiously awaiting a comic. Big Game number 4 can't come fast enough. Bought several other Mark Millar books. I'm with you, man. I thought Big Game number 4 was coming out this week. I was pretty disappointed.
I'm catching up on that. Yeah.
And I'll say I was going to say Mark Millar. I mean, he's always delivered good stuff, but for me, I feel like he is just at his peak ever since he's come back with King of Spies. I feel like pretty much everything he's put out has been excellent.
I haven't read
Feels like
everything
renewed
he's
vigor.
done.
Yeah.
I haven't read everything he's done, but Big Game has made me want to go back and like pick up all the things I missed and fill in all that backstory.
I feel like when he was there was a phase with Mark where he took things that other people had tried and failed at and decided to make that concept work. Where when he did like Superior, when he did Sharky the Bounty Hunter, when he did a few other things in that era that kind of, it was good, but it could have been so much better because they weren't like totally original ideas. But then for King of Spies I think that was kind of his resurgence point.
Yule, what's the response on Big Game? Are people excited about this? Is it moving as much as a normal indie book, or a little higher, a little lower?
I think you're muted.
You're muted, brother.
Yeah.
I interrupted him.
It's doing well. I was trying not to breathe on the mic while you guys were talking. Big Game's doing well. I really like it, actually. I'm not always the biggest Miller fan, but Big Game got me excited, and I can't believe he's doing this to his characters.
Yeah.
Is he gonna just like undo it all?
He's going
end?
to. Is that what it is? You can see it in the last issue. He was implementing the strategy on how it's going to make sense. At least
all I know is, this is what people would say about Mark Millar back in the early aughts. He was edgy and he was trying to get away with. He was everything we say about people now. Coming in and fucking up characters. That's what Millar was basically doing back then. And a lot of people were very negative and sour on his stuff. And, but it was very exciting and very engaging. And now he's actually doing all that stuff to his own very characters. And that's pretty awesome, I think.
Yeah.
Kaiser Jose says, correct me if I'm wrong, Yule, but didn't Mephisto kidnap Peter and Mary Jane's daughter? Whatever happened to that?
Good question. I didn't read bad comics back then. So I don't remember.
Did they really kidnap her? I thought she was wiped out when they wiped out the marriage.
They didn't have her.
They didn't have her.
Where Mede was?
No. She was kidnapped. This would have been in the 90s.
Green Goblin. She was kidnapped by
Saga. At the end of the Clone. It was after the Clone Saga. She ended up kidnapped by.
Was it
Norman? No, by Norman, and then she just kind of vanished and was never really mentioned again.
You'd think that they wouldn't want to, redeem the character if he's still got this like missing child that he's got a hold of.
Oh, they're just trying to pretend that it never happened.
Yeah,
it's kind of the same way that there are still 8 X-Men that should be completely invisible to all forms of surveillance and all digital records of them. Yet they just
There they are
completely
on
forgot
TV.
that. There they are on TV.
We should
Not
still
only-
remember that Peter backhanded Mary Jane during the Clone Saga, just like
To
straight
get
up-
Ben over.
Yeah, backhanded her and threw her across the room.
That was the
of course,
moment that I
Hank Pym-
stopped liking Life Story. Was when MJ and Peter are arguing. They have kids, and he's got his fist balled up, and the kids are cowering, and you can tell that he'd hit her before. I was like, never mind. I don't want to read the story anymore. Now I don't feel good about Peter.
Yikes.
Hank Pym, while having a mental breakdown and possibly being possessed by somebody else, hits Janet because the artist misinterpreted what the writer put into the script, and he has to carry that burden for the rest of his, comic life. But
the bug spray also did it. That was one of the weirdest things Mark Millar ever did was the Hank Pym bug spray on Wasp.
Oh yeah,
that was,
in Ultimates.
Yeah.
I
mean,
think
was
it was
that
pretty
any
awesome,
weirder than
though.
It was kind of gross, man. I'm tired of waking up with all of your eggs in my bed. Like,
He was just a piece of shit. I love that.
Was it any worse though than Chuck Austin having Hank Pym shrink down and go inside Janet's vagina?
Well, it's almost as bad as
okay.
Okay, never. Yeah, I will forgo some more Chuck stuff.
No. Tevia says, why do other media love Peter and MJ and make them look great, but comics don't? It's because a-holes like you that hate the Peter MJ relationship and give Nick Lowe an excuse not to give us what we want.
Well, I thought
Calling
it was because Quesada got divorced or something like that.
It was.
I could be wrong.
Yeah, it was Joe Quesada got divorced.
If
So.
something happens to Joe Quesada, it has to happen to him.
Right.
Yeah, that's why no character's allowed to smoke. They can still, because
Exactly.
they can still murder. They can still do all kinds of horrible things, but like having a cigarette in their mouth, no, you can't.
Because Daddy had cancer.
Well, why is my past Spider-Man less important than your past Spider-Man? Is really what I ask. Everybody talks about this wedding and this marriage, but Peter's a bachelor to me. You know what I mean? I just told you I didn't read those bad comics when they were married.
Why don't they just kill off MJ and let him be single then? Stop
Well,
putting them in the same comic book together.
But why does the lady have to die just so that Peter can be happy?
Because
oh yeah, because Peter's such a happy character. Like things go so well for him, and his dating life is so
I meant
great.
so I could be happy. That's what I meant.
The reason
Peter's marriage
because
is
as long
terrible. It's an evolution of the character. It's like we complain that nothing ever changes, but then we want everything to be the same. We're never happy either way.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though.
I thought it was great.
Yeah, no,
my Peter Parker isn't married. Your Peter Parker is married. Where do we? I want something. You want something. We can't have it. There you go.
Hold on. The reason why you do have to kill MJ in order to have that reality that you want is because alternatively the fans will keep demanding, essentially what the Mexicans fans did with Gwen.
Stacy. Mm-hmm.
As long
now
as
you're
she's
blaming on another country.
as long as that other character is alive, the fans are going to keep demanding she be with him. That's what it comes down to.
Well, I mean, it's like when we see flashbacks of Robin, Dick Grayson Robin, and he's not wearing shorts. It's
creepy.
Sometimes I can't ignore the fact that he didn't wear long stockings. You know what I mean? He wore shorts. You've taken away almost all of Cyborg's patter when in New Teen Titans when he's not calling Robin short pants. You know what I mean?
Well, you wouldn't want to go back to Cyborg with the exposed thighs. You just want to see men's naked thighs in all your comic books.
Well, you're wondering why.
Well, it sounds like.
Well, you want certain people to be buying comic books. You might want to get those.
That's what got people out. Was the lack of male thighs.
Dark Admiral March here says, "I'm getting in a few hours. Just wanted to pop in and thank you for getting me through some long hours of overtime listening to the live streams. Have a great weekend, everybody. That's awesome."
Well, what's he getting in a few hours? Married?
I think he's getting home in a few hours.
Oh, he's going to be getting off in a few hours.
Yeah, I think he's been at work or something. And definitely thank you very much. Dark Admiral's been here with us since the first or second stream. He's been with us for 6 years.
Is he a Patreon member also?
No, he's not. But if he likes the live streams, that's what he should do. You get an extra 6 or 7, 8 hours a week of live streams.
Oh, he's getting married in a few
streams,
hours. Wow. Okay. That's awesome. Congrats. He's getting married. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Congratulations, man.
Married in a few hours. That's a much better fill in the blank.
That's what I was thinking.
Spider-Man is married.
Second to getting off work.
Congratulations.
Second to getting off work is getting married, maybe.
I'm now imagining him like 5 minutes into his honeymoon putting this on to listen, and his wife is like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Shut up, bitch. We're listening."
We're married. I don't have to hide this anymore.
I'm kidding. Your wife is not a B word.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
Josh does not.
How do you know her?
Maybe she shouldn't listen to
Kenneth says, Wes, I meant sometimes you take jabs at the character. You and Josh saying Nightwing is a better hero. I chose Barry Allen for the win. Nightwing is a better hero than Spider-Man.
I mean, come on.
It's kind of cool. Better origin. Spidey's got better.
And it's the same as
Spidey's got a better rogues gallery, but Dick Grayson's a better hero.
But
I got lean Spider-Man.
Yule's right. He just has Batman's origin.
Yeah, I got lean with Spider-Man.
Batman wasn't on
Batman's got the best
trapeze.
origin.
That's the only difference. One was at a movie, one was on a trapeze. I mean, then their parents get killed,
To go back to what we were just
and one's
talking
less
about,
grumpy.
Batman didn't wear hot pants, okay? I mean, come on.
Well, Joel Schumacher had his way.
And I definitely agree, Kenneth. I think Barry Allen with the negative Speed Force takes the win over Spider-Man with the Sins of Norman Osborn. Federico, I loved his Punks and Magnus robot fighter. I believe we're getting back to Keith Giffen again.
Yep. Yeah.
Everyone likes Magnus robot fighter. It's like one of those. That's Valiant, right?
Yeah, it was right at the end of Valiant before they became Acclaim, and he was just writing that one. But it was very Giffen-esque for sure.
Well, he was Magnus was one of the Dell and Gold Key characters that Valiant had licensed the same way like Solar, and then they merged them into the universe.
We put him. We put a version of him in Darkwing. It was a video game that Goslin loved called Max Puncher Robot Puncher. And it was just he was like unabashedly in a mini skirt, much like Magnus. That's the kind of stuff that fires a kid's imagination.
It's a kilt.
Let's see. Look at that. Short pants on Robin, Magnus robot fighter, Cyborg's thigh. You know what I mean?
You know what? You're making a compelling case. I'm not gonna lie here.
Kenneth wants to know who wins Canary's Cry or Banshee's Scream?
Banshee's Scream. It lets him fly.
Yep.
Gotta go with Banshee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Canary's Cry probably
out.
could make her fly, but she knows she doesn't need to.
She's also completely taken down a mountain with her scream.
Yeah, but hand-to-hand combat, she'll kick Banshee's ass, but Banshee's scream though. Yeah.
I thought Black Canary's scream or cry could only affect men.
Wasn't Banshee like a freaking secret agent though?
Yeah,
like,
he was. He was part of MI6. He was part of Interpol.
Yeah, but Black Canary was in a band.
Oh yeah.
Look, we're gonna go with the times. It's 2023. We're gonna turn Banshee trans. We're gonna have them team up in a book called Scream Queens.
We already have that. All it would be Teresa, Siren.
Well, Josh, I think that.
Yeah, but she's a drunk. We don't need her.
So's he.
Works because.
Well, they're Irish. What are you gonna do?
True.
Yeah, that cancels it out.
That's why Banshee loses because he's drunk.
That's why the best part about Moira murdering Banshee and then wearing his skin as a suit was so endearing. It's because they didn't love each other and weren't in a relationship. That was a great moment in comic books recently. Remember that one, you?
What was that in? I don't remember her wearing.
That was in Inferno.
Not the good Inferno.
The bad Inferno.
She was a robot. Yeah.
The Jonathan Hickman Inferno, because she had become a robot, and otherwise she used his skin that she wore as a suit so that she could go through the portals.
Yeah.
They're
I
stupid.
think Moira's been the most damaged. For sure.
Well, yeah, you want to take.
She wore
taking a character.
boyfriend as a skin suit. I'd say
I mean,
so
when they relaunched Jim Lee and Chris Claremont X-Men, Moira was a piece of shit then too. We find out about it. So this does play along with that, but at the same time, she was like so pro mutant. It's just stupid.
Well, she was a piece of shit because you found out she had been possessed by the Shadow King for like years.
Oh, is that what it was? I can't remember anymore.
Yeah. She had been possessed. She was possessed from like issue like 200 all the way up to the end of the Muriel saga at 281.
Yeah, but when she did
All
that,
right,
we're
going
Magneto
far
was
afield,
before
fellas.
that,
We haven't even
wasn't
gotten
it?
to a topic yet.
No,
Oh, sorry.
Lane says, for Patreon, Aaron and Wes, do a Teeny Howard work retrospective through once Gotham War ends. Both read every Teeny Howard comic book and discuss them. No.
Lane is really into
I don't
punishing
think
you
you
guys.
could give enough to the Patreon, Lane, to put us through.
I'd have to
Like,
make a
that's
new tier.
the Lane Kramer tier. The just the jigsaw.
I will do anything that
it's
you tell me to do.
It's
once.
the fucking jigsaw tier.
Yeah, oh God, just let us die tier.
Not going to do that. Eddie Brock 9043. I hope J. Michael Straczynski will get to return to ASM.
No, because the last thing we need. Remember the last time he came in, he introduced all the spider totem stuff and Ezekiel and all that other shit that eventually Dan Slott ruined into the fucking Spider-Verse.
And then on top of that, he had Norman Osborn bang Gwen Stacy.
Yes.
And that's
been retcon, though.
That's a no for me.
Yeah.
Nick Spencer took that off the board.
But
he might reinstate it, so it was his idea.
Sins Past, the other.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine on Captain
I don't blame him though for One More Day, because that was all Joe.
Quesada. Kenneth says, on Commandant's question, when talking about best villains, Spider-Man and Batman are go-tos. People don't talk enough about X-Men. They have some great, scary, incredibly powerful villains: Magneto, Apocalypse, Sentinels, Onslaught, etc.
Well, I think we're talking about individual characters rather than team.
Yeah,
I actually.
If you go with teams, it's got to be Justice League because nobody beats the Legion of Doom.
Yeah.
Best name ever.
Mm-hmm. And then I'd go back for a second with the Masters of Evil.
I would say Legion of Doom is different because it's individual villains from the heroes joining up together.
Best name.
Oh no, agreed. But yeah, X-Men. I mean, like, because you're not even including things like Sinister, Mystique, Sabretooth, Sorrow. Like, there's
none of those are villains anymore.
Well, that's because no one can be bad anymore. God forbid we have a bad person that
they're a marginalized community, Wes. So everything they do, everything one of them does is justified.
Sounds like a Tom King book.
X-Men absolutely do have some great villains.
Oh, for sure.
Think about teams.
God, I miss.
Who are the Avengers' big villains? When you think Avengers, like
you get the Masters of Evil, so that's a good mix of various characters. You get Ultron, and Ultron in the comics is like he used to scare the shit out of me when I was a kid. Ultron would show up, and I'd be like, oh.
I mean, Red Skull. It's really Captain America. Yeah.
Dr. Doom, but he had a Fantastic Four.
Well, Doom would kick anybody's ass.
King is more of a Fantastic Four guy, isn't he?
No, he was introduced in.
But he's Reed Richards' father or whatever.
He's more known as a Fantastic Four villain.
Or is he his grandfather?
Let me ask the chat this. Who is the worst Avenger? And follow-up question, why is it Silverclaw?
Well, no, it's Captain Marvel.
It's Triathlon.
Wait, I thought it was Hawkeye.
Oh, wait, no, Dr. Druid.
Hawkeye's great. He's the lovable loser.
Dr. Druid is the worst Avenger.
Oh, come on.
Wait, Doctor Who?
Dr. Druid
was a hero with a punch. He was representative. You can't be mad at him. He was a balding guy with a punch. I think we can identify.
All right. Yeah, well, thanks for that, Kenneth. Good call.
Dean
Calvin says, can we get on the subject? Oh, we'll get there eventually. Sometimes the show goes like smooth and sometimes it goes like this. We had an area of grievances that we needed to address, and it got us a little off topic at the beginning. But I'll get there eventually. But we are only going to cover one subject, guaranteed. Kenneth, Aaron, Hank Pym was abusing Janet for years and no one cares. Don't hold that one thing against Peter. Come on, man.
We expect more of Peter.
Was he abusing her for years?
Like, Hank Pym, yeah.
Not really.
That was an ongoing thing, right?
He was a bit of a
chauvinist,
but he wasn't abusing her. I mean, that's like saying every single marriage in the 60s.
My grandpa was abusing my grandma. He was just being.
It was heavily implied, though.
Go back and read those early Fantastic Four. Reed is a chauvinist, and
Yeah.
John's a chauvinist.
It's
And they're all
the
like,
60s, man.
this girl.
Yeah,
You know,
it's-
I miss the chauvinist that's
it was
lovable.
it was very 1950s housewife style, but she wanted to get the fuck out of the house a little bit.
Mhm.
It was heavily implied, Doc, that Hank Pym was abusing her. That was heavily
They
implied.
retconned
But
a
not
lot of
from
that
Stan
stuff.
Lee.
in.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, all that stuff got retconned in. I'm not talking about the retcons. I'm talking about like
Okay.
up
Hank
until
Pym's
that.
been destroyed.
Yeah, they
My
just
goodness.
broke him because of that. Honestly, I don't
Right.
think they gave a shit about Hank Pym in the first place.
Yeah.
so-
No, I mean, and later, and if you look at it too, like later they destroyed Iron Man. He was responsible for the crossing. He had been Kang's puppet all along. Every one of these characters has been ruined at some point, and then someone has to come in and fix the pieces because some writer comes in and has the idea of, I'm going to break everything down. I'm going to deconstruct everything. Now we just call it the Jason Aaron, but
Yeah.
more writers have done it.
HH and the fellas at Sigma Comics, greetings from New York Comic Con. Those that ban us are gone. Thanks to Wes for providing a true platform for support and looking forward to always contributing this great channel support. Think critical and hit like. Well, thank you very much. We've got other friends at New York City Comic Con. Obviously, go visit HH and the fellas
Awesome.
at Sigma Comics. They'll have their own booth. But I believe Drew and all the guys from Comics Elite have their own booth. AL, I believe, is in the house at New York Comic Con. There's no way Joe Corallo's not there, right, Aaron?
No,
He's
Joe is
there.
there. And
Yeah.
also Murphy is there, formerly of Merck, and she just launched her own company to help people with their crowdfunding. So go check
Nice.
out Crowd Control on and look up Murphy on the socials. And if you've got a crowdfunded comic that you want help with, you're like, hey, I really want to do this, and I've got the money where I'm putting this together, but I don't really know how to launch it, how to
Need the
reach out to
logistics.
people. Yeah, you don't know the logistics of all of it. Murphy's there to help you. So go check out Crowd Control, guys.
And we'll definitely be doing a New York City Comic Con wrap up. Like, there's some big stuff that came out this week, but we'll wrap it all up next weekend when we do the Comics Aficionados. There's too much stuff coming out.
There's some dumb stuff that came out this week too.
There was some dumb stuff. We'll get to it next weekend. Kenneth, Magneto versus Sinestro.
Sinestro.
Well, as long as Sinestro's got iron in his blood, Magneto should be able to destroy him.
Yeah, he can just rip it out
But
and
he is
give it
an
an
alien,
aneurysm.
so I don't know that he does have iron in his blood. He might have hydrochloric acid in his blood. Who knows?
Are
Even
we
if
in space or are we on Earth?
doesn't matter, honestly, because all he's got to do is hit fucking Sinestro with comets. You have any idea how much iron content is?
Yeah, but he's got a power ring. He can make a construct to block the comets.
All right.
And how long do we have to wait for the comets to get there? Are they in an asteroid field? Because if like Magneto's like, wait for it. No, come on, Sinestro. Look,
It'll
It
be
takes
here
a
in
while.
5 years.
It's on its way.
Kind of like that giant bullet with Kitty Pryde in it.
or the giant bullet on Aqua Teen Hunger Force from the Mooninites, where they fire the quad laser and it's slowly moving across the screen, and they're just like, just wait. It'll get there.
Who was that? Austin Powers, when it was like, no, and you could see that the
Steamroller.
steamroller is like 50 yards away from him, and it's going to take like 5 seconds. What do you think? Who wins, Magneto or Sinestro?
I'm gonna go Magneto. Omega level mutant. Iron metal is everywhere, basically. I think. I mean, Sinestro's cool and all, but he's a villain. I guess.
It turns out that the entire cosmos is just made of aluminum.
Well,
So he just like keeps trying to grab metal and he can't.
There you go.
No, there's a lot of things that Magneto would be able to do with his powers that like writers haven't even explored, and I'm not going to go into them here because I don't need.
I mean, they let him
stealing ideas.
fly with his
but-
power, so
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Magneto, as long as Sinestro has some iron in his blood, would just basically blast him into a million pieces. But if he didn't, it would be more competitive.
Well, he uses the iron in his own blood to fly. He
Yeah.
literally lifts himself up
Oh,
by
is
his
that how
blood.
it works?
Yeah.
I thought
He
he
could
was
cancel
using a
out-
magnet to like repel, like to push
That's
him.
what- that
off
would be
or something
easier.
like that.
Yeah.
Well,
I
he
can't
could use
Metal
Magneto could actually use the rotation of the Earth to his advantage.
Oh no,
he
Wait
could
a
stop
second,
himself.
rotation.
Yeah, he could stop himself, let the Earth continue moving. He could like fix himself into a position, and it would be like he virtually disappeared from wherever he was, but he's just, that much further away in an instant.
my goodness. Callum, I think Mags belongs in the circus. Also, I think Trans John's enemies would be normal straight people, and he'll probably use a baseball bat.
It was trans Conner.
Conner, it's Connie.
Connie.
But points for bringing out
Connie.
that baseball bat tweet.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Man, Eric O'Sullivan coming in with the hottest take. My controversial thing this week, I bought Capwolf and the Howling Commandos #1 by Stephanie Phillips. It wasn't bad. I liked it. $5. Doc and I are reviewing this one on Monday for Words of the Week. I haven't opened it up yet. Oh, I did open it up, but I haven't read it yet.
I was like the idea that Eric's like, hey, it wasn't bad. And you guys are like, it's the worst of the week.
It's the worst.
These are guesses.
It's
I
Stephanie
mean, sometimes
Phillips.
we get something good.
Yeah, like we.
Yeah.
She's due for a good comic book. She wrote a really good issue of Harley Quinn Future State #1. That's the best comic she's ever written.
Infinite Monkeys, Infinite Typewriters, Shakespeare. Stephanie Phillips meets that criteria.
Well, look, they say it takes 10,000 hours to get good at anything, and maybe she's she's putting in the work. Obviously, we haven't seen that with everybody in comics. We've seen people that have put in quite a bit of work and haven't gotten any better. But yeah, you know what? I'm all for. I hope it's good. I hope that Stephanie's showing improvement.
Well, I hope it's bad because I did it to torch the Doc. So that's just me being.
Yeah, it's kind of needed
selfish.
to be bad. Yeah.
No, see,
Aaron, I got a question for you. Johnny's GM Boogie. Can Magneto move Thor's hammer with his power? That's the real question.
I don't know. Is Uru actually magnetic?
And on top of that, does the magic cancel out? Even if it is magnetic, does the you have to be worthy?
You're supposed to give a fast answer. You said yes.
I think
now it's more complicated.
You haven't seen that little dorkly clip where it's like, Magneto comes to fight the MCU Avengers and he's just like he just immediately hits Thor in the dick with his own hammer.
Well, there was it
Okay.
goes back to the Tony Stark question about an elevator. Same thing.
All right. Mr. DC Comics Bleeding Cool says Philip Kennedy Johnson is leaving Action Comics in December. Who would you like to see take over Action Comics? Mark Waid, Jeremy Adams. Well, it's going to be
Jason Aaron.
Jason Aaron, followed by Josh Williamson, and they're going to do that for the entire year. It's like the Superstar Superman year for Action Comics, where I guess they're rotating writers as they go through story arcs.
Why would they not give
Wade? See it?
Why would they not give it to Wade? He's writing the best Superman book.
Wade is killing it. Yeah, in a good way.
Well, it's kind of a secondary title. Maybe he doesn't want to be on a secondary title.
I like Joshua Williamson's run.
I mean, but like, what is he on now? Batman Superman is like a third-tier title.
He's doing Shazam.
Action is.
Doing Shazam.
He has Teen Titans.
Teen Titans, yeah.
Well, and he needs to make sure he has time in his schedule to ruin more people's contracts.
If I could get anyone to write Action Comics, I would probably just bring back. I guess Peter J. Tomasi's out the book. I would have just put Jurgens back on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't mess with Jurgens.
That's not what happened.
You look at how many people can still go. A matter of fact that they're getting older and things like that. But Dan Jurgens is not that old. Like
no.
But like even like guys like Walt Simonson. Yeah, Walt's getting up there, but Walt still delivers, and he delivers better than 99.9%.
I don't think Walt wants to do an ongoing book.
I mean,
he does.
Just writing.
Yeah.
He's. I mean, his Ragnarok's ongoing.
No, it's not. He does 4 issues and then he takes a year off.
Yeah, it's still okay. Good point.
Yeah,
So
it
he
hasn't come out in a while.
But I mean, like he and Louise
Comes out in volumes.
They got more to offer than just Walt drawing.
Yeah. Grateful Dog, Crossbones versus Judge Dredd. Great panel today.
Dredd.
I love Crossbones, but Dredd.
Yeah.
Great.
All right, I'll take you guys' word for it. I'm going to more partial to Crossbones, but he doesn't really have powers either. So
I'm more partial to Crossbones, but I still think Judge Dredd wins. Like I try not to let my personal character.
He does have those fancy bullets that do all kinds of crazy things.
I use Crossbones in Marble Snaps.
And I do want to say
he's on my Marvel Strike team.
Thank you very much to MD for supporting the channel. I don't see a question. If you do have one, make sure you put it in there and we'll get back to it. And definitely thanks to everybody for supporting the channel. We do have an actual topic we're going to get to, but it will be the DC Reject Mags Trads retcon. You're not exactly happy about it. You don't think it should be news that DC didn't really decide to go forward with this, even though Mags put it out?
So Mags put out, like, this was my failed pitch to DC, and she was talking about making Superboy a trans character now. Conner is Constance, right?
Mhm.
And people picked it up and ran with it, and I just feel like, well, it's a non-thing. She came out, she's giving a little bit of content, and she's just saying what she would have liked. You know, I'm sure when you're going and you're pitching things, you have more than one thing, right?
Mhm.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe not.
I think that's a big assumption in this case.
That is a big assumption because it feels like. So I assume that basically that was the Eternity Girl story, probably. Because I couldn't not see Mag's life and her social media presence not being a part of that character. And then we get this idea that she was throwing the Superboy concept out. It's kind of lame, I will agree. But I just don't know if, like, look, we need subjects to talk about here on this show. And, I was bringing it up and before we started, that's one of the reasons why we were late. But I just don't know if it's really that important to really talk about. What do you guys think?
All right. Well, go ahead. Josh, go ahead.
Look, I was just going to say, I think it's a non-issue. I think part of the reason it caught fire the way that it did is more than anything, it came off as Mags trying to validate her idea to try to get some clout behind it to maybe go back to DC and say, see? And I think I do think that's where some of the intention was. I mean, again, I think it also goes back to like, if you want to do these things, if you want to have trans characters, that's perfectly fine. And I'm going to kind of toot Gail Simone's horn for a little bit as a writer. As much as I think she can be problematic on social media from time to time, I will praise her for deciding, you know what, I'm hearing that there's a lack of representation in this area. I'm going to do my part to make sure I add some representation here. So she created characters that were trans characters that were decent characters. I'm trying to think of the I can't think of her name now.
Batgirl.
Yeah, so she created her, and under Gail's pen, it wasn't a bad character. It was just a normal character that was there living a normal life, and it was like she was doing that. She's putting in the work to just show like here's some representation that's not being pushed too strong, not being made at a joke. She did the same thing in Secret Six when she created Porcelain, and I thought Porcelain was actually a really interesting character, had a lot of potential, and unfortunately that book didn't last long enough to go into it. But part of the problem is you've got Mags taking a character that's so beloved, and we just watched this with another version of Superboy. People weren't happy with his sexuality, and I'll give John Kent a pass because John Kent didn't really have a history. Conner has a history, and trying to force this idea of, well, no, there's proof here because Conner likes certain records that have female singers. I think it's like you're just trying too hard. It's the same thing with Tim Drake. Saying Tim Drake's bisexual because he supported Bunker and Teen Titans is stupid. That's also saying you can't be a straight person with a gay friend, and that's something that's pissed me off for years. I think that the fact that it's an issue or a conversation has less to do with the comic itself and more about the intention that it was approached with to even put it out there.
I want to put the only thing I'm gonna push back. I just want to throw it out there. It's Conner Kent really beloved like that though. Like,
yeah,
I'm just saying, really. Just a serious question.
Listen, it's just like with Iceman. Yes, you've made that character representative, but for a smaller group of people. Like it's like that character has existing fans that already identify with him, and you've now taken that character away and changed that character and given it to somebody else, and now there's less of an audience for that character because it is by its very nature a more niche audience. I had said on Twitter, when this whole thing kind of like blew up, and it just got me thinking about like characters in general, and when we radically do a radical departure. And there's a couple things that came out of it is I just said, I think that when you do that, you don't love the character. You love the idea of how you can use them as a vehicle for these other things. And number one, someone sent me that Mags had quote tweeted me and said, characters are ideas. And I don't want to get into it on Twitter because, of course, every response is harassment. But I just said, I wanted to say if characters are ideas, maybe try to have more than one. because that's the one idea you bring to the table. The one idea you always bring to the table is writing a trans character. It's, you know, it's basically the M. Bison thing. It's like, oh, Mags wants to turn a character trans. It was Tuesday. You know, that's not a shocking story, but I think the story came out and it was put out with the intention of increasing pressure on DC in the hopes that this would happen. That being said, I don't think that the name Skyrocket is bad. I don't think the character costume design was bad. And I think if Mags had pitched a Kryptonian character named Skyrocket that was a new character, I think it probably would have gone.
Agreed.
You know, but also, you know, part of the pitch was a 12 to 24 issue way to tell this story, and I don't think that was ever going to happen.
It was like, hold up,
you know, it's like just Mags' series just do not last that long, and that's not even a dig on Mags because most writers' series don't last that long anymore. You don't have that much real estate anymore. That's not the industry that we're in. The other thing I thought was interesting was when I said that, you know, when you come in, you should say, you know, like you're going to write the Fantastic Four, you should say, what kind of Fantastic Four stories do I have to tell? And I think that's what a writer does. I think when you come in and you say, well, how can I work all my ideas of what I want to write into the Fantastic Four? I think that's carpetbaggery. And I got pushback from Rich Johnson saying like, oh, I'll take carpetbaggers like Frank Miller and Grant Morrison and Neil Gaiman any day. To which I responded, I think it's funny that you only named white male cis writers, Rich. You know, check your bigotry.
Then he blocked you.
Be better. But like, you know, it's like, okay, great. You picked guys who've had careers from like 40 years ago. Name me a current writer that's doing that. You know, it's like there's exceptions to every rule. Those creators are few and far between. But yeah, I think it's just a big non-issue. It's just a big attention-getting thing because of what it is. And
well, she had done Action Comics recently.
Oh, it's not out yet, actually.
Well, no, she did the backup story.
Yeah, it came out 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
And you know, like personally, I didn't find anything upsetting about it, but I know there were people out there that were saying things bad about it. Maybe part of the tweet was like, "You think that's bad?"
Well, I know it was just kind of a nothing backup story. It's just, you know, it's just there. It's not really, you know, altering anything. So I thought that the reaction to it was kind of like overblown, and I think it's more just a reaction to Mags' social media persona and the way that she carries herself publicly that people react to more than anything that was in that story. Because I don't think that story was, you know, had anything particularly upsetting in it.
Well, she's trying to pressure DC into doing this change and to get a bunch of people to say, "Hey, this is what we want."
I know we're saying there wasn't anything upsetting in that story. I thought the whole like Conner with Ma Kent was just god awful. Like,
well, I'm not saying it was good. Like, you know, but I can't say that like that story upset me any more than any of the other nothing terrible like, you know, stories that we're getting out of comics now. It's just more grist for the mill at this point. Like it wasn't egregiously, you know.
Yeah. And I do want to kind of circle back to the comment, you know, does Conner really have fans? I would say absolutely. If you go back to the 2000s Teen Titans run, he has fans. If you look at the Young Justice animated series, he has fans. Even when Bendis was launching his Young Justice, there were a lot of people really excited, and they were excited to see Tim, Bart, and Conner. Like that, there was some hype there. And then a lot of these things, you know, I think with Conner in comics since he's come back just haven't lived up to it. And it shouldn't be that hard. Like if you just take your half Superman and your half Lex Luthor, like that's an interesting story.
Yeah. For sure.
And that, you know, that's a character too that then you can play with those tropes of like, who am I? Which are universal tropes. You know,
so they don't know what to do with him.
You know, there's all kinds of things you can do with that, and that's stories that have existed all throughout history, and it doesn't have anything to do with being trans. You know, that's why the X-Men used to be universal, is because everyone knows what it feels like to be an outsider. But now that it's become, you know, now that these unimaginative hacks have boiled it down just to an LGBT allegory. That's why it doesn't sell. That's why it doesn't resonate. It needs to be broader than that. And, you know, not like Wes and I talk all the time about like, we want the industry to be so healthy that all these kinds of stories can exist and be supported, but there's enough of a reader base to allow that. So when you have a more niche book that's aimed at an LGBT audience, it can find that audience and it can find enough of them to survive. But right now, there just aren't enough comic readers for most anything to survive. So you've got to shoot for the broadest range possible.
Yeah, I thought it was great that Rich Johnson put you on blast, Aaron.
Look, I feel like this is Mags trying to be relevant, trying to use her dwindling industry cachet, because it's never been anything except for reputational, not sales, not anything else. You know, I hate to use the term.
Things,
well,
I mean, that people liked.
But for the most part, she's she's like a Heather Antos. She's just somebody that people can trot out as a perpetual victim that because they want to do something, we need to support them because they were a victim. And here's the thing. And as much as I don't want to even acknowledge this bullshit and this stupid idea, like I don't even want to like give it the audacity of my attention. But at the same time, we know that these idiotic publishers basically make all of their focus group decisions based on Twitter likes. So if you don't push back against it, if you don't yell about it, that you know that they are absolutely going to do it, because Mags managed to weaponize her like the 19 people that buy her stuff and the 300 pros that decided she needs to be protected at all cost, because bad people on the internet talk and make fun of her. That she will weaponize all of that, and the publishers will go, "Oh, wait, apparently this has some legs."
Well, you know, the 300 pros that are on rotation for paying her rent as well. You know, it's
yes,
like you're very right. It's very, she's very protected in that sense. And like I said, I think I think that this would have gone if the pitch wasn't so long. This is not a pitch that I ever imagined DC would say no to.
If you're Mags Visaggio and you built your reputation, and the reason people know you are is because you are the trans comic book superhero writer. And the last two Pride anthologies from DC and Marvel, no Mags Visaggio. Looking over at Hawkgirl #3 or Hawkgirl that's going on right now, it appears that Jadzia Axelrod is making major changes to the character of Hawkgirl Kendra, similar to what she was hoping for Connie Kent. You see what is happening to even Alan Scott in the JSA, and you're seeing what other writers are able to do that Mags would like to be able to do. I bet it is frustrating, and I think it's put out there as a means to go out there and pressure people into letting Mags be able to tell the story that they want, because other people are getting to do it, and she's not the only game in town, I guess, anymore.
Well, and here's the other big problem is, you put that out to create that pressure. And you get it, you're always going to get that certain section of Twitter who's going to be like, yeah, this was a great idea. I can't believe DC didn't do this. Man, DC, you should do this. But the problem is those people don't show up to buy it.
They don't buy comics.
So what you do is you alienate the existing audience that you have that is a fan of Conner Kent, and they walk away. But these people that are saying that this is the best idea ever and oh man, you should do it, they don't show up with their money to support it. You have got to support the things that you want in comics. And that's why you are always going to lose to the old school comic heads, because they show up with their money.
Yeah, still a business. Exactly.
It's
what
like
are you thinking, Yule?
I was thinking like it's like the Beef Sharps episode of The Simpsons at the very end. The guys on the building is like, "Hey, human fly here, human fly here." That's Mags.
Yeah, it's basically a cry for attention at this point.
I don't understand that reference.
You don't know the Beef Sharps?
No, I don't remember the B Sharps episode.
That's when Homer's in the
barbershop quartet, right?
The barbershop. They're playing up on the top of the roof, and everybody's watching. And then the human fly is like, "Hey, human fly here. Hey, Mags Visaggio here."
I mean, isn't that why we're all on Twitter though? We're like, "Hey, everybody, don't forget about me today."
This is Mag's cry for attention, because let's be perfectly honest, her career's dead. It is she's not even.
It's the year of Mags, Doc.
It's true. But she's
not.
Major
announcement this month about. And I mean, I know who it is, but it's like I'm not going to spoil the surprise. But this big person that thinks that her writing is brilliant, and it's gonna be crazy. You're not even gonna believe it. It's gonna blow your mind. Oh, you hate her.
so she found a new industry patron.
Maybe. Let's see what the people have to say. Oh, Grateful Dog wants to know thoughts on Ennis writing Bond. I'm enthusiastic. When I think of Garth Ennis, I think of really gritty, kind of character deconstruction. To be completely honest, that's kind of what The Boys is, and I kind of already got that with King of Spies.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of,
or you could go read Garth Ennis's Fury series that he did for Marvel Max, and get that kind of gritty. I mean, maybe he's going to bring something new to it. So I'm interested.
I'll check it out, but it doesn't feel like a real fit.
Although, but at the same time, Garth Ennis, there's one thing that he loves, and that's war comics. So, like, he actually takes them seriously.
He does the research. Like when he writes a World War II comic, he does the research.
So I'm leaning more into this probably being a positive thing because of how Garth Ennis treats war and war adjacent comics. I think he'd look at this as almost the same as he would a war comic. And
good.
And if so, he's going to put a lot of work into it, and it's going to end up being probably pretty good.
I don't know. The last Ennis comic book I read, they had people getting skinned alive. I just don't think that works in Punisher, but not really in Bond. You know what I mean? But he is a great writer, and good writers are able to adapt.
Bond fought a voodoo villain. There's all kinds of Bonds. There's all kinds of Bond stories. Come on.
Was there anybody skinned alive to make a point?
I mean,
probably.
Probably at some point. I'm sure Ian Fleming's got something like that in there.
No, it just doesn't feel like the most natural fit in the world for me. But Garth Ennis, good writer, probably got a chance to be all right. Brad Frederick, DC announced at New York Comic-Con that Jason Aaron's taking over Action. It's only for 3 stories and then 3 issues, and then Josh Williamson's coming in to do a bigger story. I think about Brainiac tying it into his Superman run. Mm-hmm. Does Kennedy Johnson, is he going to go Marvel exclusive? He says he's still going to be writing Superman later on to do some type of culmination of War World where you have the 2 twins that came down to Earth and all that kind of stuff. And he doesn't feel like a Marvel exclusive writer. Like he does a lot of work
on his social media. He has DC stuff plastered all over his social media still. I mean, if that means anything,
Not only
I don't think it's a Marvel exclusive. Yeah.
Next week, the softcover volume 1 of Fellspire comes out. That's that one that you like.
Yeah, The Last God.
Yeah, they had to change the name or something like that. But
there's some type of
I don't know what the
copyright
reason is. Maybe it's just the whole.
It's called the Fellspire Chronicles now.
Yeah,
because that was the subtitle.
Right. Yeah, that's what it's called.
That was my big disappointment. When they did the Elseworld story, I was like, man, I hope they did this Philip Kennedy Johnson like a sequel to that thing. We didn't get it yet. Hopefully soon.
I think Philip Kennedy Johnson might be too hot right now to go exclusive. I think that he probably, he's really like the only name in town right now that kind of is getting people excited anymore.
Moves the needle.
And I do have to ask, what at this point is the benefit for him to go exclusive with literally anybody? They're not giving insurance anymore.
No, you don't get health benefits with going exclusive anymore.
No, you haven't.
You're like a full-time employee.
Well, and then Marvel, they stopped putting people exclusive anyway. If I remember correctly, there's almost nobody that's exclusive under them anymore.
I think the last person that they gave an exclusivity deal to was Tinny Howard, and we all see how well that
might
works.
Right.
There was one that came out after that.
No, it was what's her name that's on Birds of Prey now? Kelly Thompson, I think.
Kelly Thompson.
It might have been her.
Yeah,
she was.
They both were. Yeah.
Yeah, but she was doing like allegedly doing all kinds of like backstage stuff and screwing artists and like using what clout she had to like take people off of projects and things. So it's surprising to me that didn't become a bigger issue because I mean it happens in the industry all the time. People blacklist people, there's all kinds of stuff that goes on. But that one really came public and she went up against some of the wrong people who had powerful friends like Alex Ross.
And I'm enjoying Kennedy Johnson on Incredible Hulk. It's actually a pretty cool series. I prefer it with the Nick Klein art though.
He'll be next.
That's a good run. Yeah, I like his Incredible Hulk run. That's a good run.
Yeah, so I've been enjoying his stuff. He's one of the writers that Perch and I got right about 3 or 4 years ago. Writers to watch to be like the next wave. Who else is in there? I think we had We definitely had Ram V in there. He's been kind of a disappointment.
No one likes Ram V for some reason.
I like Ram V. He's not
Well,
good
that's
on
the
the
biggest
detective,
factor.
though.
I never hear anything positive about Ram V like with anyone.
Well,
But I talk to Weird Science too much, so yeah, that's probably.
Weird Science hates Ram V.
Yeah, but
that's
he's
probably
no
part of
Steve
it.
Orlando or anything like that.
No, he's
Yeah,
way
that
better.
guy.
He's better on limited series and then creator-owned stuff work because he's more thinking outside the box type of stuff.
Yeah.
But whenever he gets on an ongoing, he just kind of meanders. It's one of those people that probably needs to get boxed in.
I'm
Yeah, his
selling
cat-
the Vigil pretty well.
What?
The
That's
Vigil.
good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I read the first issue. I thought it was pretty good. It's just characters I don't know or really.
Yeah, that's you
need
got
to read.
City Boy and the Spirit World or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Very good.
Got some Ram V
Kenneth
love
wants
in
to
the
know
chat.
who would win, the Thunderbolts or the Suicide Squad.
Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts in a wash. The Suicide Squad really aren't all that powerful.
What's that guy gonna throw his boomerang? Give me a break.
We're talking first tier Thunderbolts, right? Baron Zemo's Masters of Evil Thunderbolts.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there have been so many incarnations. But even like you even get like the Red Hulk's Thunderbolts with Punisher and Elektra and
Deadpool.
Deadpool. I still think they win.
Yeah, it's
My
kind of
favorite
fair.
Thunderbolts is the Parker ones with Luke Cage in it. When it's
it was like
Norman Osborn
Ghost and
doing Hammer and stuff like that.
Satana and
Yeah, they're using Man Thing in it.
Mr. Hyde.
All right,
That's
Mr.
not even
DC
fair. Have a
Comics.
man thing.
He says Kennedy Johnson still has the Last God book to do, so apparently he does have a sequel. Hopefully that comes out in that Elseworld stuff. Although, would it really be Elseworlds if it's not really DC characters?
I think it was
No.
Black Label last time.
Yeah, it was Black Label.
Yeah.
Black Label is confusing me.
Yeah, they
I
are.
don't even know what's what anymore.
They
All
really
right,
kind of
so-
watered down the
We brought
Okay.
you on because you're the movie scooper, and we do have a couple movie things to talk about. Do you want to talk about
Cool.
Daredevil, what happened with the MCU on Disney Plus, or do you want to talk about Aquaman 2 and all the stuff happened there?
Well, let's see. Let's get the first comment in the chat. Daredevil or Aquaman? I can do a little spiel on either. I'm more of a DC person, so I kind of lean.
You want to do
towards DC.
Aquaman? All right, let's hit up this Aquaman thing. So
We'll do
apparently there's
Aquaman.
been a lot of stuff going on with the Aquaman. Apparently Jason Momoa showed up on set drunk, dressed as Johnny Depp, tried to get Amber Heard fired, and she said the director yelled at her, and they've had to do 3 rounds of reshoots. Apparently people were walking out of the screenings and all that
The
stuff because
screenings,
there's a
yeah.
moment that they didn't like. Were they able to get it together?
Well, it's a lot of personal embellishments to what happened on both sides of the story. But the original thing with Amber Heard, it is true. Jason Momoa, after he got producer credits, executive producer credits on Aquaman 2, he wanted to get rid of Amber Heard, right? I don't know if it was a personal thing. I don't know, right? But then with Amber Heard, her side of it was she was having like a mental episode, thinking that Momoa was, Johnny Depp sent Momoa after her or something. So that was some weird stuff right there. So that's one thing. So it started off with Amber Heard in the film because of contract reasons. It would have been messy. So they said, okay, we got to leave her in the film. And that's around that time people were reporting, oh, Amber Heard's getting recast. I came out with the story, said, no, Amber Heard's still in the film, but they're reducing her role. And that was confirmed in that Variety article. They took out a couple scenes from her. She's going, and I don't know if people care about too many spoilers. I'm not going to spoil the whole movie here, but she's in the beginning because they have to show that she has a child, right? And then there's a pivotal scene at the end where she shows up, where most of the people that saw versions of the screening, they said, oh, she actually has a really kick-ass part at the end. And then that's it for a character. There was more of the story in the middle of that. So anyway, they reduced her role. Jason Momoa, he's pretty much knowing this is his last run at Aquaman. James Gunn already nuked the entire DC slate this year, announcing a reboot. Who does that before 4 films comes out, right? But we see the data. That didn't help anything. Momoa likely will be Lobo in the DCU. I came out with this story in past December that he may have a cameo in the new Superman Legacy film, which is really I think, what are we calling it now? Justice League Legacy on my channel, because it's literally going to be too many characters in the Superman film, right?
More like Justice Society Legacy.
Justice Society. Yeah, it's going to be like a pseudo JSA, and then Gunn wants to put in Lex Luthor, and he's going to put in Mr. Terrific and all this stuff. And so Aquaman is probably DOA but they're hoping for like some international crowd to pick up on it, like the first film. Like China gave it 300 million for the first Aquaman film in 2018. So this
really
film, I think, is dead in the water.
Which really means they contributed 50 million to its bottom line.
Well, when it comes down to like profit, yeah. So it's all numbers. It's all splashy numbers. But yeah, this DC, like I said, James Gunn. That's why his fans hate me now. But it's like it's studio mandates for the Superman legacy to be stuffed with characters because Warner Bros. Is going to sell. So they want to sell. They want to advertise their DC catalog, right? So you make this a showcase film. Now, James Gunn actually responded to me on Twitter a few months ago about this, denying that his film was a showcase film. Then he goes and announces Hawkgirl in the film, Mr. Terrific, Metamorpho, Lex Luthor.
Look at all the shiny things.
Yeah, it's a showcase film. So will Batman Brave and the Bold, Andy Muschietti. Though who's excited for Andy Muschietti after the Flash film? But still, that's going to be a Bat family film. So it just all this is the cloud.
The best superhero movie that James Gunn has ever seen.
It's the best, right? It's the greatest film, right? When no one showed up to watch it, right?
Which made me wonder, like James Gunn has never watched a superhero film, not even.
He forgot to watch Guardians of the Galaxy.
It's like that's his best film. The first Guardians, the last one, Guardians 3, like depressed me. Like I
like Guardians of 3. I thought
Guardians
really good.
Depressing.
But I think
it's dark.
I think there's a couple of things.
It was definitely dark.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things you have to take into context with this like recent kind of new. Look, a lot of this isn't even new news. It's just we're having to kind of pull things that have already been out there and we're already kind of whispered about. But like the wanting to get rid of Amber Heard is not a new thing. Like they wanted to do that kind of pretty much at the end of the first film.
After the first film,
and it's not like, oh my God, look at this. It's a DC mess thing. Like this is not uncommon in film. If you have a star and their life is messy outside of production, or they're bringing some of that into production, a lot of times those studios don't want that involved, like that, because you're running into that risk.
Real quick,
yeah, they did.
This was right before they knew the Johnny Depp trial was coming up. So just to make it clear, why Momoa and James Wan wanted Amber Heard out is because they knew the trial was coming. It was going to be a circus. This film, Aquaman, supposed to came out like a year ago. That would have been in the middle of the trial, right? So there's like, let's get rid of her as cut bait now. But like I said, they kept her. So. Yeah, I
would have wanted to cut bait as soon as we saw the first movie and they had no chemistry together.
Yeah,
she had a weird wig on.
When you jump cut something like cuts, the edit, they're never like together smiling together. They got to cut to her smiling by herself and then they cut to him smiling by himself. Like you knew it wasn't working.
They should have cut her out of the first Aquaman and just put her in the Disney Little Mermaid. That's what she looked like in that wig. She looked like legit Ariel.
I mean, she did. But yeah, I mean, like if you're high and drunk and showing up to screenings and press events, don't be surprised when the studio doesn't want you anymore.
That's the only way I would do it.
The screening rumors, Wes, he was talking about people, they were walking out of screenings. That was a little, people were kind of laying it on a little bit too thick with that. Like, who really, people that seen screeners, the film's not done. There's no CGI at times and it's a little clunky. People weren't really like running out like in terror, but it's just the story was a little clunky. Amber Heard wasn't testing good because again, you're close to the Johnny Depp thing. Her, public perception. She didn't win that, didn't win that publicly. So the screenings weren't the best test scores, like 60s. You want 80s for test scoring. So they did again just adjust the Amber Heard stuff. They made Black Manta more of a threat in the film. So they think they fixed that. But like I said, James Gunn killed DC. So it's
Black Manta looks cool as hell in the trailer.
Yeah, he's going to be awesome in the film.
Yeah. And there's scenes in the trailer that I like. Like I actually, I was telling my friend Maria, I was like, "Are we actually gonna go see Aquaman 2?" And she's like, "No, we're not."
Hey, they finished the CGI. You can't say that for the Flash film, right?
Yeah,
like they actually finished it for Aquaman.
I was like, I think it might be at least it might be hilariously bad. It might be a glorious train wreck.
Well, at least Momoa is going to be Lobo after this, the character that he was born to play.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was not born to play Conan the Barbarian.
No, he's such a cool he's such a cool dude in person. Like when I got to meet him, he was just like he couldn't have been nicer. More laid
Did he
back,
give you cuppage?
What?
When he gave you the bro hug, did he cup a cheek?
He didn't give me the bro hug. I was sitting at a table in a Wizard World show.
You met him. I would have hugged him.
Yeah, watching the tumbleweeds blow down the aisle. in Austin,
Josh
Texas.
doesn't even know what's going to happen when he first meets me. He's getting double covered. Both cheeks.
Ooh.
Wow.
Are you going to lift and separate?
Oh, we're going dirty
Exactly what's
dancing.
gonna happen.
We're going to do the lift.
He's gonna run
That
at
ain't the lift he's talking about.
Oh,
Nobody puts Josh in the corner.
yes, that's
Really
right.
does. But he's got to play in Lobo and Aquaman anyway.
Yeah.
Was he? He wasn't a good Aquaman, right? I mean, Momoa.
First film was successful. I mean,
Well, I mean,
just, you know,
As
it
far
was
as being like
weird.
Arthur Curry
Aquaman.
Aquaman, it's not really the character, but
right.
I mean, he would have been a better Namor than Aquaman. Like, you know,
Yeah.
if you cast him as Namor, that would have been
Better than
certainly,
what
certainly better than the
MCU
guy
did.
that they got.
yeah.
The guy that
Namor, what
already
they call him?
the guy is that the guy
Namor.
that's the one that's kind of in jail or going to jail or something like that. Didn't
he was
get
accused
busted?
of something.
He was accused of sexual harassment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They kind of buried that story.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't personally love the first Aquaman film. I know it did well, but I thought the underwater scenes, which are kind of important, just didn't look very good. And after seeing the second Avatar movie, there's no way they're living up to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the action figures from McFarlane because he's doing a legit seahorse for Aquaman to ride on. And I'm not going to put Jason Momoa Aquaman on that. I'm going to put my classic comic book Aquaman on it. But you know, bring me that. Bring me the little octopus buddy. You know, bring me all of that stuff.
Why do you hate the toys so much?
I don't hate toys. Toys are great. I got them right up here, but I just don't. Man, I'm shaking my head on riding a seahorse. That's what I'm shaking my head.
But it's a big seahorse.
I understand. I mean, if there was a big
it was
seahorse,
a tiny
I
seahorse.
probably want to ride it too. You know.
I was reading Golden
You
Age
get high enough, you'll think you are riding a seahorse.
Aquaman, and they were riding seahorses. It makes sense.
It was always funny,
Aqualad?
you know, like he's all on dolphins, you know, motorboating around in the cartoon and everything like that.
Using dolphins as water
Not that
skis.
kind of motorboating.
Yeah, did
He's
Momoa
wakeboarding or
water
whatever.
or a motorboat a dolphin?
No,
It's inappropriate. I'm walking out.
I'm teasing him on. He's like on skis, you know. He's Fonzie jumping sharks, but on dolphins, you know what I mean?
I think Aquaman will probably do better than the other DC movies that came out. I think it'll do better than Flash and probably Black Adam.
And Blue Beetle.
Definitely.
Hey guys,
Blue Beetle, my
speaking of
goodness.
Aquaman, I just want
Forgot
to
they came out.
Longtime Aquaman writer as well as Hulk and Spider-Man and a million other things that we all love. Peter David still having medical problems. Still has a GoFundMe up. So if any of you guys have the means and the will, just look up Peter David's GoFundMe for his the medical issues that he's having. You know, he's had a bunch of setbacks recently. And if you guys can give anything, please do.
So you're on a comic book shop owner. You have access to DC Comics. When are we actually going to get an Aquaman ongoing again? Are they never going to have that character? It's been like over a year now. It's been like almost a year and a half.
What was the last one? Were those miniseries that they did with the Aqua Men or something like that? And then the miniseries. Well, I mean, they're all miniseries. I was thinking the Black Label one when I said miniseries twice.
Oh yeah, yep.
Rand B had that Aquaman on Black Label. Yeah.
Aquaman is not.
He's not a seller.
Aquaman was at his best when he was in the backup story of Adventure Comics. Okay, so
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
That's his point.
Maybe before that was. I mean, there were other ones, but
New 52 Aquaman was solid.
Aquaman was good, even if it didn't sell.
So my favorite Aquaman is the it's Tomasi and Gleason, I think. Maybe it's Arcudi, I think. John Arcudi, creator of the Mask, and
Jeff Johns is decent.
That was with Sub Diego when San Diego flooded. I mean, sure, Aaron's all down for that. And
only if it's
and a lot of citizens died, but some, metamorphed into like fish people or something, Atlanteans, I guess. So Aquaman had to deal with them, and that was a really, really good time. And Gleason was the artist, and that was the last time I really, really, really liked Aquaman. The Jeff Johns stuff was okay; it looked good, but it wasn't really Aquaman, At least
New 52, right?
Aquaman. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
didn't like
I mean, let me
Aquaman
see if
Rebirth?
there was good stuff, but I don't even know about Rebirth. Who was doing
I
that
didn't
one?
That was the
Rebirth,
Date Abnett one. He
Yeah.
did the Rebirth one. He did about 30 some
Yeah,
issues.
Abnett's okay.
I have to look at that one.
Mirror kind of takes over the book for about an 8-month span,
Yeah.
which I didn't appreciate, but the rest of it was good.
Yeah, I don't know. Aquaman's just Aquaman, Namor, all those books. They only have a certain shelf life, and it just isn't a continuing thing. That's why I think him as a backup character in a book. Like if you had Action Comics and Aquaman was in the backup story, not every backup story in a Batman book needs to be a Batman character. It could be some other character that you're ignoring right now, and I think they really should do that more.
Yeah, Aquaman should have one hand though if they're going to do any Aquaman story. Now you got to cut off one hand, no matter what iteration.
Go back to the
He
harpoon
Oh, he
hand.
saves the baby.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of gave him something else visually. I think the harpoon hand, it made him kind of interesting. I think that you could do like a fresh.
Now,
take
should he
on
have a
Aquaman.
harpoon hand or a trident hand, though? That's the
Trident.
difference.
Nah, I like the harpoon hand.
I like the
trident's
water
good.
hand he had.
Or
It was
classic.
like a sort of Atlantis.
I mean, that was
That's a weird one.
that was
But-
weird,
Did you know
but that's
Batman
good.
has a metal hand right now, but no one's mentioning it?
Yeah.
I'm not
I think
reading
it
it.
happened
So
during
I don't
Night
know.
Terrors.
Yeah, no, I stopped. I got out of Batman, so I
Night
don't care.
Terrors.
Wait,
Oh my
Night Terrors.
goodness.
I have to read that if I'm gonna.
Well, he
Read-
lost the
don't
hand,
read
and
it.
there's something about the hand that's special, but it hasn't played into the story since it came out of it.
Well, he uses it in battle, like
They don't
I-
even show it. He's got gloves on.
I hate that that's a thing that they've attached to Batman.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
no pun intended. Like
Well, I hate
what
that they've attached Tinny Howard to Batman, but I'm dealing with it.
that's a fair
That's
point.
what I
Like,
get.
no, I think, but going back to Aquaman, I think that we just need a fresh take on Aquaman. I think you could do like a noir kind of, you did like an old
I
pulp
know.
hero, an old pulp
Aquaman is
hero.
tracking down criminals in Atlantis.
Yeah,
No,
like,
no,
Little
no,
hat
no.
on.
no,
no, just do like a pulp, like a real pulpy kind of Aquaman story. Where
just
it's a little-
just
little
make him
grittier.
trans. Yeah,
That's
that'll-
how you
Oh,
took it
no.
from me, man.
Aquaman.
I beat you to it. I beat you to it.
Oh,
It's
Aaron's
Aquaman.
going long.
Oh,
No
freaking
longer-
Doc! He beat me to it. I was like, let me ride this.
No
laugh.
longer a
I'm gonna do
mermaid.
it.
He's no longer a merman. He's a mermaid. My goodness.
He's a landlubber. That's how.
This is what the people are saying. Kenneth says, aren't there different versions of Suicide Squad?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Every time they launch Suicide Squad, it's got a different team.
Mhm.
Although
Yeah.
for some reason it's a Harley Quinn team now. I'll never
Yeah.
understand it.
Yeah, it's a Harley Quinn, Deadshot.
Even Birds of Prey
Yeah.
is now.
God, yeah.
I don't,
Harley is super oversaturated. I
I thought
love,
that first
Yeah.
issue was
I
good
love the
though.
original incarnation of Harley Quinn, but
The
I
Kelly
really
Thompson?
enjoyed-
It
No,
had
it wasn't
moments.
It
It
didn't
had
have-
moments.
First issue was good.
But this
It's a
idea that
getting
they're
the team
openly,
together issue.
yeah, but this idea that they're openly gonna turn to Harley, no, like that's an automatic.
I didn't like the
no.
Harley setup at all. Yeah, in that
But
first
I
issue.
thought-
It's the
I
weakest of
will
them
say I enjoyed the way Harley was written. Like I liked her voice in that,
Mhm.
but it's an automatic
Mhm.
no for me.
Eddie Brock says, we've been lurking in the channel for long enough and wanted to show some support. Should we consider buying Chip Zdarsky's run or Superior in Omnibus? I'm assuming he's talking about Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man versus Superior Spider-Man in Omnibus.
all.
So Chip Zdarsky's Spider-Man for the first 4 or 5 issues is really, really bad, and then it gets amazing all the way until the end. I think at issue 310.
He
Mhm.
stops
And
trying
then-
to be funny and he starts trying to tell a story. Like
I
he
kinda-
kind of took criticism to heart.
He's like,
And this is why constructive criticism is good in this industry.
Yeah.
Is because for
Right.
someone like Chip Zdarsky who was leaning into the humor, I'm the humor guy, and he had like personally like when he does dumb photos of himself, glamour shots and things like that. I think his humor is really good personally, but when he tries to apply it to a comic book, I don't think his sense of humor works. And that's what he was kind of pigeonholed as that, and that's what he was trying to do, and it wasn't working, and everybody hated it. And so he actually shifted and he started telling really compelling stories with Spider-Man, and
Well,
that's where people really kind of got on the Zdarsky train.
Maybe one of Zach's followers is actually
Well.
works for Customs and Border Patrol and did threaten to deport him for his comedy.
well, he probably lives in Canada, but it's pretty cool. Once it gets going, it's Peter Parker and J. Jonah Jameson traveling through time and shit.
But
I know
Superior
it's
Spider-Man's a great
time
story,
one.
though. Superior Spider-Man's a
True.
great story.
It's
It really
alright.
is.
I
It's
think
all
like
I love that story.
I feel like the art is better in all of Superior Spider-Man compared to the Zdarsky run. There was like the Kubert really wasn't putting in a whole bunch of effort. I think I expect more from his Ultimate X-Men is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I can't.
Which one would you recommend? You're the Spider-Man guy.
I'm saying Superior overall, but you're right. The beginning wasn't good, and I don't really love the last story. But that stuff with Jay Jonah is really, really good. It changes the dynamic of the characters. When Jay Jonah finds out that he's been hating on his photographer all these years, that's pretty fun stuff, and it is kind of humorous and it's sad and it's there's anger involved and
Peter's
all the things you would expect that would really happen.
I hate Peter's sister.
It's a really
and then
good
Teresa's
example.
in it.
What he did with Jonah is a really good example of the way that you can change and evolve a character, but not violate who that character is.
Right.
And so I think that's really where he came into his own as a writer. Mm-hmm. And obviously he's had some major missteps on Batman as far as we're all concerned, but his Daredevil run was good. So I think that he is a solid talent when he's not giving into the worst impulses of
both.
The Canadian Ministry of Humor.
No, Doc. If you only got money for one, which one you buying, Doc?
If I only had money for one, I feel like I got to buy Zdarsky's Spectacular.
Well, there you go. If you trust Doc more, you go get Zdarsky. If you trust Yule more, you go out there and get the Superior omnibus.
Superior's got Stegman in it.
You're going to be happy either way.
Yeah,
nice split right there, though. Yeah.
If you've got a little people fetish, Superior is the way to go.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you'll love Superior Spider-Man if you got that.
You guys are awful. Kenneth says both Marvel and DC are in disarray. A friend of mine from college told me he has no faith in James Gunn. If Marvel is rebooting, there is hope. Well, it sounds like they're planning on rebooting, but Marvel's not going to tell us until it happens because they don't want to happen what James Gunn did to the DCEU.
Yeah. Well, no, James Gunn is taking Feige's idea. Marvel's going to do like the Secret Wars reboot where basically Feige's going to keep the stuff he wants, but then he can recast a Black Panther and grab, new Thor and stuff like that. But he's going to keep, Tom Holland Spider-Man. So but that's what James Gunn is going to do with DC, but worse. So they're doing the same thing.
I don't want a new Thor. I love Chris Hemsworth as Thor. He's just never been given anything outside of the
If Feige agrees with you, he stays.
Not going to make it through Secret Wars.
He'll be the Amanda Waller of the new MCU.
It'll
be the MCEU.
Well, I think what they really need to do is bring back Kenneth Branagh to do Thor
I like
again.
that first Thor movie. I thought it was good.
Instead of Taika Waititi.
Well, it's the best of the bunch, I feel. But I did.
When he drinks his beer and he just tosses the thing? No,
it was coffee.
What? Yeah.
Well, whatever it was, man. It felt like he was treated like a beer.
Yeah, he's like, this beverage is delicious. I will have another.
He's never been to Earth.
That kind of humor, humor works for Thor. The kind that
fish out of water stuff.
Yeah, the kind of shit that Taika Waititi did, where he just made him like the idiotic dude bro. That does not work for Thor.
Oh, the jealousy between Mjolnir and Stormbreaker, like it was just like, oh god.
Like if you had it once, maybe like okay, whatever. But they went to that well like 20 times in that movie.
He went to every well 20 times.
Yeah,
like,
the screaming goats.
Like just everything was like
over
and over and over again.
You should watch that movie. You haven't seen it yet.
Don't watch.
Don't
do it to yourself.
No. See, I like Yul too much to subject him to that. Jesus,
there's a reason why I haven't watched that.
Yul took his frustrations out. I mean, he deserves to go watch Thor: Love and Thunder.
You know what? Right now, Wes, I want to do penance, and I want to apologize properly. I'm giving you my I'm going to do it. I'm going to watch it, and I'm going to do a review.
Absolutely, do it.
Oh, no.
Aaron will come on and do a review with you.
I'm going to do it.
See, here's the thing. I'm going to tell you, Yul. If you want Wes to still owe you one when you're done, because trust me, whatever you've done to him, you watching that is so much worse.
No, don't butter me up now. I want to watch this now.
No, you will listen to me.
I'm
Listen
gonna
to me.
record a video and I'm gonna send it to Wes, and he can put it up on the channel
I
any way
will.
he wants. He can put as much stupid music behind me as he wants. I don't care. Okay.
You
That's
listen
not
to
what
me.
Wes does. That's what my editor does. That's what's happened.
Well, that's what I meant.
I can't impress this upon you enough, okay? The world that you live in right now is infinitely better than the world you'll find yourself in if you watch Thor: Love and Thunder.
I'm crossing over. I'm sorry.
My life changed when I watched it. Yeah, the outlook on life changed.
Gareth also says, I'm heading out, fellas. Wish you all well. Wes and Josh, Nightwing is a different hero, not a better hero. Emphasis on the not. Next time I'm on the panel, I will school both of you. Put respect on Spidey's name. Love you.
Yeah,
respect
like this
Spidey.
Kenneth guy.
Later.
Yeah.
I can't respect him not
Kenneth's
getting his
good.
girl back. What's going on?
Peter, look, once Peter was wearing the Mockingbird feminist agenda shirt and sleeping on her couch, it was pretty much over.
bit much.
It was over.
Oh, come on. It wasn't that bad.
That's pretty bad. Peter,
I mean,
I
he
understand he's bad
all
luck
the
Parker,
time.
but
You know?
they do take it too far sometimes.
For sure.
Yeah, there's this idea that Peter has to be this loser, and it's like Peter's not a loser. Peter just is constantly hitting hard times, but he overcomes them. He's
stretched
loser.
too thin,
Yeah,
but he
and-
can't say no. Yeah.
And now they've kind of made him like, well, Peter always has to be a loser, and he always has to be sad, and his life always has to be pathetic. And it's like, no, that's not, like when he was struggling to, help Aunt May with her medical bills and pay her rent and pay his rent and, live up to his obligations to his relationships and but also be Spider-Man and go out and save people. That's because, he's a hero. He's just stretched too thin. But too many writers have come on and taken the wrong lessons. And
Nightwing's got like Starfire's about to go into a cage match with Barbara Gordon just to get with him. You know what I mean? Which one do you think's the better hero? The guy that got the two hotties fighting over him? Hell, one of them's in a wheelchair.
Oh man!
Right? Oh, man.
Nightwing scores for
Team
sure.
Spidey.
But
Did I
so
ever
does
tell you
Peter.
the weirdest-
Okay.
Did I ever tell you the weirdest thing I ever witnessed at a con was I was sitting with Aaron Lepresti, and this is years and years ago. And Lepresti's drawing, and the guy's like looking over his drawings, and then he's like, did you take commissions? And Lepresti's like, yeah, and he like gives him the rates and everything, really jovial. And then the guy goes, can you draw me a Barbara Gordon, but like in the chair? And he's like, oh, as Oracle, yeah, I could do that. And then the guy leans in and he goes, but like naked.
Naked.
And Lepresti just like sat there for a split second, and then he goes, get away from my table.
No.
I thought you were gonna say how much.
Like it wasn't even. It was like it was just like
$400, sir.
No, you know what, Lepresti, he's got too much. I will say this about Aaron: he's too moral a guy, and he loves
Too
these
much
characters.
integrity.
He loves these characters too much to do that sort of.
Yeah.
Even if he wasn't, he just loves the characters too much to do that sort of thing.
Rhaegar Targaryen says, I was a Thor fan since it was one of the first comics I was hated at age 6, and even I haven't seen Love and Chocolate.
Love and Chocolate.
I did, my boy. It's a rough
Love
movie.
and chocolate.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot here, Sil. You're the movie guy. Which one's better? Is it Thor: Love and Thunder? Is that superior to Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania? Which one is the superior film?
Watch Quantumania before that, but stream either way. You got to stream it. Don't buy either one of those. But if you have to sit down for 2 hours, watch Quantumania. At least you can laugh at bad jokes. Thor: Love and Thunder, you will be upset at bad jokes. So yeah,
There you go. Bold choice. I appreciate that one. Now let's get into our comic book recommendation because I don't know if you noticed this, Yule. I thought this was a very midweek. There's only 4 comic books we
this
come
week
up
sucked.
to. Yeah, okay, good.
No cap.
I
Wes?
totally agree.
No cap.
Cap-Wolf and the
Cap
Howling
Wolf?
Commandos?
No.
No, he's using the
Gen Z
kid
language,
slang.
like it was mid. And I'm like, no cap.
Nah. So what do you recommend at the shop this week, Yule? And it was mid, but go out there and find the best stuff.
Well, I mean, like I said, I thought the Spider-Man ending wasn't that bad, and it had really good art, and it was important to future issues. So if you're into Spider-Man, it really was a good issue. I'm still into Danger Street. It's only got a couple more issues. There was a bit of a break last issue of sorts, and it picks up, and we're getting to the end. And like I said, I've been really enjoying this Tom King one. And then most importantly, I've been reading Keith Giffen comics lately, I just finished some flashes, but I already showed you the Trencher earlier, so I'll be reading that because on Tuesday on my channel, I'm going to have Joe Corallo and Eric Breen on, and we're going to be talking about Keith Giffen, R.I.P. To me, the Heckler was superior to Trencher. It had 2 more issues, and most Keith Giffen books only go 6 issues, and there you go.
Very nice. And so you're going to be doing the Keith Giffen retrospective on Tuesday.
All episode.
Is it going to be live or is it going to be streaming?
Yeah, we'll be living it.
Show up and support him on
what night is that, you? I missed
Tuesday. It's right after Josh's show.
Oh, right on.
So are you gonna have a show
double
this week,
feature?
Josh?
What was that?
You gonna have a show this week?
Yes.
Well, he put you on blast, son.
Yeah, no, I know. That's okay.
This is what he meant.
You gonna have a show this week?
This week I didn't get a notification from Josh early enough, so I was like, I guess we're not doing a show tonight.
Oh,
right around the time that
they don't like to do notifications anymore.
Oh man, this week was hell.
Running late.
Oh.
So
all right, Josh.
I missed it.
Did you read comic books this week?
I did. I'm a little behind on the new releases. I'm still reading The Madness by JMS. I thought this week's issue was a little underwhelming compared to previous issues, but I still kind of like the story overall. It's a nice, brutal, action-packed book. Other than that, going into my show, I read Batman Strange Apparitions again. It was nice to pick that up. Detective Comics.
Strange Apparitions is one of the better ones I ever told.
Oh, agreed. It's just
he
a
defeats
nice
9 villains in 6 issues. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, it's a nice solid run. And then I also picked up Detective Comics 526, read it, so it was nice to kind of revisit those books. And then I did read. There's a new book by Brian Buccellato called Midlife, and I have a love-hate relationship with it so far. So I'm going to pick up the next issue and see what happens. But it's an interesting concept. Because it's about a guy that discovers he has superhuman abilities when he's 50 years old, and he's been working as a firefighter his entire life and is already viewed as a hero in some ways, and then steps into this role. And the last page is him discovering I should have been dead in this fire and I'm not dead. So I want to see what they do with it. There's some social commentary in it that I didn't care for, but there was a lot of positives that I thought were fun, including younger versions of the main character and his friends coming out of seeing Batman and Robin in the movie theaters in 1997. It was a fun book.
Very nice. And you're gonna be live on Tuesday, right?
I'm gonna be live on Tuesday.
Any special guests?
I don't think we're gonna have a special guest this Tuesday. We're gonna have Aaron and myself. We're gonna be on. We're gonna kind of return to. Aaron is my regular, so no one outside of my regular. Aaron makes the show. Let's put it that way.
I'm Josh's regular Saturday night thing. Wait,
he's your side piece, huh? Kenneth says, Wes, don't you dare tell me Peter Parker doesn't get any action. Gwen Stacy, Mary Jane, Jean DeWolf, even Carol Danvers when she was cool. Peter was bagging chicks while Dick was Bruce Wayne's sidekick in green tights. Please. Well, yeah, I think he's overtaken him in time.
Was Peter in a relationship with Jean DeWolf? I don't remember that. I got to go back and revisit.
I don't remember that either.
I can't believe you didn't put Black Cat in here.
That librarian.
Black
right?
Cat.
Yeah, Black Cat should be number 1.
Upper echelon of Peter's
conquests.
Yeah,
but that's the thing. Nightwing only scores with other superhero chicks. It's kind of like Warren Ellis. You know what I mean? Peter Parker goes outside of the comic book industry. You know.
By the way, can I throw something out there about Warren Ellis? He hasn't been hired by any company since that whole little controversy came out. But if Warren Ellis crowdfunded a book tomorrow, I think he'd do over $100,000. I think he's bigger than any of the people that have tried to cancel.
They'd make another press release, talk more crap about him though, because he hasn't done his penance.
Well, so what? He'd make $100,000, and making money is the best revenge. You don't need to do penance. You don't need to do penance when you have that much talent.
I think he wants forgiveness that he's never going to get.
He does.
Oh, he's never going to get it. Yeah,
but he wants it. He wants it because, honestly, that is the industry that he created. He wanted the industry that is the one that ruined him. He got what he did, and as much as I really like Warren, no, he got what he deserved in that this is the world that he agitated to create. whenever
he
had
did that,
power.
and it's seen as he abused it also.
Yeah,
you know?
but it
So
completely blew up in his face.
without a doubt. And I mean, whatever. I agree though, Aaron, and I think the obvious thing is to get Temple Smith to finish up that fell and put it all out in some big book.
Yeah.
And I think Temple Smith would be like, fuck you people. I'm gonna make money.
Listen, the industry has collapsed to the degree that these people don't have the power that they did even just a few years ago. So, if you want to do something, maybe you'll never do it in the mainstream again, but the mainstream is dying off. It's fallen apart. We just saw everybody who had any talent at DC go become Ghost Machine. So, it's like it's just another one of the pillars that's been knocked out from the mainstream industry. So go start your independent thing. Go make it happen, because that's where all the action's going to be for the next few years, I think.
You really think
Kenneth
so?
also asking for forgiveness. I forgot Black Cat. My bad.
And you call yourself a Spidey fan. How
I haven't been able to forget Black Cat since she first appeared, and I know Max. I know MVP hasn't.
Yeah. Hey, look, I'm gay, and I haven't forgotten Black Cat. So
how could you?
I sold my Adam Hughes Black Cat statue, and I regret that I sold it before I really became friends with Max, because I would have given that to him.
Very nice. Syl, do you have any comic books to recommend or anything else?
Yeah, no, definitely been catching up on some stuff. I have some comic recommendations, variant edition, just for y'all panel here. We got
the fucking the fucking chutzpah on this guy.
We're catching up with Mark Millar's big game. We got the kick-ass variant cover right there.
Yeah, nice.
And we got this one here. It's kind of like the X-Men Days of Future Past type inspiration, issue 3 right there. So that's one right there. Some PKJ. We got this is the George Perez variant. We're serious about variants here. We got the Frank Miller issue 3 variant right there as well. 2. But really the real one I'm really kind of reading, Ron Mars, Silver Surfer, Rebirth Legacy. This is a variant cover as well of Frank Miller. But
what do you think of those Frank Miller variants?
I do. What I think about the covers?
Yeah.
Well, I go for more of the, if it's not a ratio cover, I go for like they got like the George Perez, Frank Miller, just a classic, little classic looks. So yeah, so I do like that. But this story here, though, Silver Surfer, Rebirth, Legacy, Ron Mars. Interesting take. Now I haven't read issue 2 yet, so I don't know if it goes off the cliff. But you got the original Captain Marvel in the story. And you got Marvel's son, Ennis, I think is his name. Nice little concept in there. So it's a really cool. It's a cool concept. There's a little twist as far as like are you seeing what you think you're seeing? So that's a story I'm kind of really into. But then I just get variant covers as well.
Ron Mars, man, you're going down a path I can't follow. You're breaking my heart.
Ron Lim too. The Ron Lim.
I'll let you know. I'll let you know what happens, Aaron. Man, I'll let you know.
It's nothing against his personal stories, which I loved. I cannot stand Ron Mars. His social media presence is one of the few pros where like I can no longer separate the art from the artist, unfortunately, and it's a shame because I love Ron Lim so much. I love his work, especially with the Surfer.
All right, fair. You recommending any comic books?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm going to recommend an old one that I started again this week. Is I'm reading Grant Morrison's Arkham Asylum: A Serious House on Serious Earth, which is fantastic. And actually,
so you like carpetbaggers now? I see.
I know. I like those carpetbaggers. That Except everything in there is pretty much leans into the characters. It takes a little bit to the extreme, but it leans into the characters that exist.
There's 2 Grant Morrisons: the one that goes so far off the reservation it's not even funny, and the one that just pays absolute respect to the character.
Yeah, there's the one that absolutely loves the the core of the character that he's working on, and then there's Grant Morrison on mushrooms and going on.
I feel like he's always doing that. Like he always has respect for the characters, but sometimes he just lets it go like crazy, like you said.
Yeah, it's
that's why I have a love-hate relationship with Grant Morrison's comics.
There's something to be said for that, and like I said, there's exceptions to every rule. But the first rule is, in order to do that, in order to even attempt that, you have to be talented. And fortunately, Grant Morrison is talented. So
I'd recommend, if you don't like something of his, just give it another 10 years and then look at it, and you might dig it again.
I didn't like Infinite Crisis when it first came out, and then I reread it a few years later, and I was like, oh, okay. I guess sometimes you're in a better.
So ahead of his time, huh?
But Arkham Asylum, Serious House on Serious Earth was also the kind of the mild inspiration for the first 3 issues of Sylvania and My Darkwing Duck run at Joe Books, where he's trapped in the prison with all of his villains. That was just kind of, and they based the Arkham Asylum game kind of off of that idea as well. So if you like that stuff, if you like the Arkham Asylum game, if you like those first 3 issues of Darkwing, the first issue of which you can go read on my Twitter, it's my pinned tweet. But then you'll like that graphic novel by Grant Morrison, I think. It's weird and it's interesting and it's got some cool stuff in the back. It's got some great Dave McKean art.
Very nice. Common Sense says Superboy Man of Tomorrow #6 by Kenny Porter is better than Mags.
It's not a high bar.
He made his point. You made his point, Doc. So you recommend anything, Doc? You got any new comic books you recommend in Capwolf?
Oh, I haven't read it yet, so I'm reading it tonight. I don't read this shit until right before we have to, so that way I'm already angry when we start.
Oh yeah, you don't want to lose it.
But so I am going to go a little old school. Yep, first appearance of the White Tiger.
That's awesome, Victor.
I love that guy.
What is it? Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man #9. Then I'm going to go with something else.
What?
X-Men Alpha #1.
Chromium cover, huh?
Yeah, fuck yes. There's also a gold chromium version of this, and there's a newsstand version. I still need to get the gold chromium version. But great book, fucking dope art.
Yeah.
Then
so good.
for Yule.
Oh, this here.
Yule bought
this.
I bought this book off Yule a couple of weeks ago, or a month or so ago. It's
Yule
X-Men
is
25.
selling comic books that have been graded?
No.
Oh, it's behind it. Okay.
No, yeah.
Say Yule's about to lose some streak
No. So sorry, I got one more behind this. But X-Men 25 gold variant.
That is
I legitimately back in the 90s, I did not know this book existed. There's this one, and then there's still a black and white sketch variant. I feel like this is a fucking Mandela effect shit. That, these existed in a different universe because I didn't find out about them until 2010.
Dude, I didn't know until you told me on this.
That's
show.
wild right there.
Yeah.
And then I came across it and I was like, holy shit, Doc's gonna shit his pants.
Yeah, and then I bought it off you.
Hopefully you took advantage of him.
Nah.
No, it was a fair deal. It is a book that's been going down a little bit in value, but I gave him fair market value for it. So
very nice.
And then X-Men 137.
Oh, what's that grade? 9.2.
9.2. Technically the death of Jean.
Right.
But technically really only the death of the Phoenix, actually.
Wrap up the Phoenix saga.
Yep.
Classic.
Last issue of the Phoenix saga. There's the epilogue in 138. But yeah, so X-Men.
What are the chances of you mailing that to Yule and letting him do the right thing and crack that boy open?
He can do it himself. He's got all the tools.
I got
a great video.
I want to be in Doc's will.
I'm trying to allude to that already,
the stuff that Doc has got, man. I've got a good collection, but I ain't got nothing from Doc.
Man,
and you know what? My collection isn't even. I mean, it's good. It is nice. I love it. I am very proud of it. But I have seen so many people that blow mine away. I mean, granted, they're all people with
they're millionaires.
They're their net worth is in the
Saudi
probably close 8+ figures. I mean, so, but it's for being a kind of working class guy. That, I mean, granted, I don't have any kids. I almost meet Zach's definition of divorced dentist, except for I was never married. And still, I was like you for a long time. I bought all those variants, and then Marvel decided to do one in 1,000 variants for. I did.
And Dan,
it's a gradual thing, though, right? You kind of gradually get those.
Yeah. That's when Doc.
Mr. DC Comics is going to send us out on a good note. Nightwing has way more swag. He could steal all of Spider-Man's women in a heartbeat, but doubt Spider-Man can get any of Nightwing's chicks.
I don't know. Starfire will mess with Peter. I can see Starfire.
Spider-Man. doesn't
Peter Parker's
hook
kind of a
up.
loser.
You know, Peter Parker does hook up. It's
Yeah,
Peter
but not with
Parker
the quality
marries.
that Nightwing
It's not
pulls.
Spider-Man.
Nightwing's in another class. Let's just put it that way. I do want to say thank you very much to everybody. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And if you're New York Comic Con, have a good time. Say hi to some friends if you get to see them there. And we'll be back next Saturday.